So we have a quorum licensing committee, May 11th, 2022. Mark Amoruso, co-chair. Francis, also co-chair. Susan's not with us tonight. So can we begin with item 1, if it can be read, and then describe, introduce the presenter.
Mark Thompson.
Yeah, is that person here?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Okay, introduce yourself and tell us why you're here.
Greetings. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. My name is Mark Thompson with Capitolino Company. I'm here regarding 89 Trinity, the American Stock Exchange building. We're looking just for a fairly straightforward recommendation that we can go to Albany and then come back to you in a few months. I'm actually going to introduce Bob Bishop, who will explain the process and the legislation in detail. So I will turn it over to Bob, who is on the screen now. And thank you all. Appreciate it.
Good evening. I hope everybody can hear me. Yes? Good. We're in a situation where we would like to open up the American Stock Exchange building with a restaurant or two within the building. Jared Stool could give us more details with it. But in our initial feedback, we were asked if we could have the main entrance to the facility be on Trinity Place. Now, if we were to have the entrance around the corner in Greenwich, we would not be here for this legislation. But on Trinity Place, we're within 200 feet of Trinity Church, and as a result, we need a technical amendment to the alcohol beverage control law. This is very similar to an amendment that you saw several years ago which related to 195 Broadway, which is the American Telephone headquarters, which has been repurposed, rebuilt, and the restaurant Nobu is now on the first floor of that building. Without a similar amendment to law, Nobu would not have been able to locate there. What this legislation does is amend the ABC law to say that the 200-foot rule does not apply to this block and lot, which contains the former American Stock Exchange building. And then in the future, if we want to get a liquor license, we would have to come back to the community board and go through the normal process, and we would not be legally permitted from making the application to you. It in no way guarantees a liquor license. It just removes the prohibition of the 200-foot rule from the application process. I've spoken to both the Assemblywoman, Yulee New, and to the Senator Brian Kavanaugh, and they've said that they'd be happy to introduce this legislation if it's okay by the community board. And despite the fact that they have some political differences, they've agreed to address this as local legislation, which they don't particularly view as any part of the political disagreements that they have.
Okay, so basically you're asking for a resolution in support of the legislation so that you guys can move forward with what you're planning.
That's correct.
Okay. So I think that at this point we need to look at a resolution and then have it just, presented for discussion at the committee level, and then we will be able to get back to you. But we hear what your request is. I don't know whose hand that is. That's up.
That's my hand.
I have my hand up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mark Mariama. I can't tell whose hand is where.
You can go first. It's your committee.
No, it's not Mark. It's somebody else's hand.
Okay, I'll just ask my question then.
Lucian's hand.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Lucian.
Mariama, I have no question. I just want to see if I informed Trinity Church's representative that this meeting will be taking place, and I just want to see if there's anyone here from Trinity Church, just for the committee's knowledge.
Okay.
Is anyone here from
Yes.
Trinity? You can unmute yourself and just say hello.
So that
Okay.
would be another reason why we'd have to do the resolution and bring it to a future meeting and have both parties here so that they can speak to it, right?
They knew ahead of a time that this meeting would be taking place. We can ask about their conversations with Trinity, but just as a point of information, this can't go to next month because the legislative session will be closed by then. So you'll have to act now, this meeting, to decide up or down.
I
Francis,
Mariama, and then I saw Mariama has her hand up, and then Jean,
okay, I'll go after them.
and then Joel.
Thank you.
Mariama?
So 2 questions. The first is, why would we as a board be first inclined to introduce new legislation rather than have you open on the other side on Greenwich Street? What would compel us to prefer to pass legislation rather than just say, use the entrance on Greenwich Street?
Are you looking for one of our team to respond to that?
Yeah, like what's the reason that this is being done this way instead of just saying, okay, we'll open on the other side?
Mark Thompson, do you want to respond or do you want me to respond?
Sure, I can respond briefly. If we have it on the Greenwich side, it was, I guess, more than a year ago when this was first brought up. We were asked by a lot of people in the community to shift it off of Greenwich Street because there are residences over in that area, and Trinity would be a much better location for people to come and go in the building. As far as traffic, foot traffic, it'd be just less impactful on the neighborhood. It was on the Trinity Place side, so we were asked to do that.
How many people are you looking to have? Like, what capacity are you looking to patronize you?
Jared, do you want to step in for a second and respond to that? This is Jared Stahl, one of the great.
Absolutely. Hi, how are you? So the use of the space is still ultimately up for debate with us. I mean, the occupancy of the trading floor is roughly around 500 people plus or minus, and then we have the adjacent tower floors in Trinity Place, which roughly have about 5,000 square feet, so for office and commercial use. So our intent is to go ahead and have the entrance modified to ensure that we are good neighbors. We're not causing traffic on the Greenwich Street side, where obviously Trinity Place is significantly more commercial. So that is the main reason why we're here, and obviously a matter of urgency relative to getting the legislation submitted at the end of the month.
Okay, so it would be a large venue also.
Correct. I think historically, you guys had probably seen this with Live Nation. Their intent was to put a concert and music venue there, but absolutely not our intent. As indicated by Bob, we are looking to have food and beverage, but the extent of that food and beverage is still something we're working through, and obviously understand that it was the first step in regards to getting the community board support for any liquor license approvals as we continue our plans. There are some pretty drastic construction and planning elements to this, which getting the support here from the community in order to move the entrance around, obviously with the support of Sam Schwartz and our traffic consultant, our noise consultants, to make sure we have as little impact as possible is our ultimate goal. But we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we miss the opportunity to get this legislation through, and then, as we mentioned, come back in a couple of months once our plans are finalized in order to get support for our liquor license.
But of course, we have to look at it from a standpoint of, even if we thought that you were great and we decided to sign on to this, if you weren't the permanent tenant of that location, then once it's legislation, anyone of any size that can, whatever the stock exchange can fit, can take over that legislation and do the same. And without knowing how the neighborhood by that would have been modified and what kind of apartments we would have. But my other question was, did you try to contact Trinity, or was the point of contact only made by Lucian?
No, hi, it's Mark. Sorry, Mariama. Yeah, I had spoken to the Trinity Vestry at first and let them know exactly what we were doing, which is the same as Bob had mentioned we had done for Nobu forgotten, maybe 10 years ago or maybe longer. And we're going to be talking, I mean, they're aware of exactly what we're doing. So they say, yeah, we'll talk after this meeting, probably next week. I think we'll have another meeting with their real estate committee.
Yeah, but they're not here, so that presents
No, I thought they
another
were going to
issue
be here,
for
actually.
us.
Someone was going to monitor it, but we'll see.
Right.
So
Okay. Jean?
Francis and Lucian, is it correct that we have to have a decision this month, but we don't have to
I
have a
hear-
decision tonight? Like we could
Yeah,
do it
no,
at exec if we needed to?
I am feeling very uncomfortable with this, and I hear you, Mariama, with the rush portion of this, especially for what they're asking. But let's hear from other people. I think Jean and Joel have asked to speak. Jean, go ahead.
I feel, let me get my, I feel very uncomfortable to have to make a decision on,
Right.
especially because we haven't seen anything visual.
Right.
I'm
Right.
a visual person,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt of the good intentions of the people that we're dealing with. I know Mark really well, and you know, he's a really decent guy. But I really am troubled that there's no visual display of where the entrances would have been and where the entrance should have been. And I'm bothered that there's nobody here from Trinity to discuss how they're in favor. This is legislation that you're asking to vote on and approve of in one hearing. I really do think we need a little more time to discuss this, and also the outreach to the community. So as somebody else has already mentioned, this is one venue that if it doesn't work out, it opens the door for the stock exchange to go to anybody and down there. It just, there's a lot of unknowns
No.
that concern me.
Yeah, I agree, Jean. Joel?
Hi, guys. I just, maybe I'm confused, but did this come up a couple of years ago? And I think Live Nation or Legends was going to be the leaseholder for this space?
I don't remember. Mariama or Mark, do you guys have any?
I remember, and I remember us being rushed that night too. They came
Yeah.
in with like a 3-hour presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so,
Talking about
correct.
Greenwich Street?
yes, anyway, I'm very familiar with Legends and Live Nation. Right now, Live Nations has their own issues with some problems they have, but I remember that meeting. I remember Pat talking about the congestion and them coming up with a DOT plan for the neighborhood and how it would affect the neighborhood, and did they actually have a plan? But if I remember when we discussed this a couple of years ago, probably pre-COVID or something, this thing was a landmine full of problems that we never got any answers to. And right now, Legends and Live Nation are getting dragged through the mud for some of their other locations. And if you're talking about 500 people a night,
Right.
is it 500 times, wait, is it 500 just like 20 Exchange? Is it 500 times 2 a night? Is it 500 times 3 a night? How many different events, how many different settings, how many days of the year, what days of the year, what holidays are they planning, security? There's a lot of unanswered issues.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, Joel,
Okay.
it's Mark. Just to
Mark?
I
Okay.
recall, I'll just chime in and out real quick, and then we can pick this up. My recollection is that
something to say.
we had a huge problem with the viability of the traffic plan at that time, and I don't see how that could have been resolved. So your recollection is correct.
Okay. Pat?
Hi, everybody. I'm just getting in. So what are we talking about? Which location?
We're talking about the presentation from
American
Mark.
Stock Exchange.
Yeah, American Stock
So,
Exchange.
so I didn't realize you were going to start with that one because that's the one that's 100 feet away from my front door. All right. Yes. They used to be Live Nation. I didn't see the presentation, so I don't exactly know what.
There was no presentation.
There was no
The
presentation.
summary
That's
is
the issue.
the summary is they want to go into this location. They expect a capacity of 500 people for this large bar restaurant. They normally would have had their entrance on Greenwich Street. but because of the number of residences there, the people don't want it. So they've been asked to open on Trinity, have their entrance on Trinity Place
Trinity
instead.
Place.
But Trinity Place is too close to Trinity Church, so that would violate the 200-foot rule. And so they want us to support legislation that would allow them to bypass the 200-foot rule. That would be permanent
Thanks,
legislation
Mariana.
once we did it.
First of all, thanks, Miriam. Trinity was supposed to be invited to discuss this
They
topic.
were invited, but they're not here, Pat.
Okay, so can we put this off until next month?
It would appear that that's what needs to happen, but apparently
Somebody
there
They said
is,
we can't, though. Lucian said we can't, so can we put it off to exec?
because of the fact that the assembly people are going to break soon, and then
Well, I'll just tell you, as you know, and you all know, as a neighbor to this site for 45 years, we do not want their entrance to be on Greenwich Street. If we can't work out getting the entrance on Trinity Trinity Street, I don't know what to say, because we definitely do not want to have hundreds of cars. There is only one street that goes west in Greenwich South. This is not the financial district. This is Greenwich South. There is one street that goes west, that is Cedar Street. And Cedar Street is already being threatened to have all of the traffic if they close the street for the school that's down further south.
Well,
so I think we have to have more discussion.
I agree. They're asking us to support something that we have not seen, as Jean brought up, in terms of any kind of layout or any plan. We know that the community does not want the opening on Greenwich Street, so we will not have the opportunity to even involve the community. Or the only other participant.
Believe me, I represent the community, as you well know.
Yes, ma'am. And or the only other participant that was supposed to be in this discussion and is not here is Trinity. I really feel uncomfortable with this, the way it's being presented and rushed. Based on all the comments that have been made in terms of us not having enough time, and they want us to write a resolution in support of something that we have not seen yet, and we already have experience in the past years with some problems.
I'll put it this way, Francis, by the way, welcome back. If it's Trinity or Greenwich versus Greenwich, it has to be Trinity. If they want us to write legislation to support them, a reso to support them, their opening being on Trinity, I'm in favor of that. But I'd like to also have a presentation of what exactly is going into the space.
Can I offer something? I think that sounds like you all want to know what Trinity has to say officially here. If the entrance is not Trinity, dissolution. If the entrance is not on Trinity, then it has to be on Greenwich. I would, if I were you all, because of the time nature of this, if you don't have a resolution, the board technically is not opining. So you should really, really do a resolution. This is the right committee. But what you can do is you can pass a resolution and then ask for a letter of support from Trinity if it doesn't materialize by full board. If that's what you're inclined to do. If it doesn't materialize by full board, you can vote it down or change it to a negative resolution or what have you. But you should definitely have a vehicle of some sort carrying this committee's opinion that you could then torpedo when you get the full board or support it.
Lucian,
I would be silent.
Lucian, I think we're going to have a resolution tonight. I don't, no question about it, but I think it's going to be, from what I'm hearing from everyone, from all the items listed, it's going to be a resolution of not supporting this. I mean, anyone can vote the way they want, but I haven't heard one thing in favor of it. And other than that, maybe it should go on Trinity Place, but this is not the process to pick Trinity Place as the entrance. They can come back, make a full presentation, and there's a process within the 500-foot rule to have that happen. the rush for this, the fact that we haven't seen anything visually. It's very abstract. Even though you read the official position of Trinity, they're not here to be questioned. There's not a lot of community members here. I mean, all things that were listed for reasons. I mean, my inclination would be to pass a resolution not to support this, but let's see what other people have to say additionally to what we've heard.
Mark,
I
can
just
I
want to
just,
say,
Mark, I
if
say
we,
something?
Okay, Joel,
Yes. Yeah,
go
I'll
ahead,
make it
Joel,
quick.
and then Pat.
So Mariama, if I remember, one of the reasons why we had the your committee born, the genesis of your committee was for all these large venues. If I remember, the capacity, I just texted you a few minutes ago. If I remember, the capacity for this is over 5,000. So at any time, they could go from what they're planning now to full capacity. So they're really asking us for a liquor license that may morph into something else. But this was one of the reasons why we had your committee. Live Nation, Legends, 20 Exchange, they should go before your committee. To throw this at us at the last minute when there's so many bad implications for the neighborhood as far as a traffic plan and everything else. I mean, this thing has to be vetted, and it hasn't been vetted by the right committees.
Joe, that's correct, and I don't disagree with you. I'd raised my hand again because I wanted to go to Lucian for clarification as the chair of the large venue working group as to whether support of this legislation tonight would automatically imply support for the any other additional licensing that would be required. Because
No,
I don't
this
feel
is
comfortable
apart.
doing that.
This is apart from the licensing. The SLA chair is not reviewing a license. There's no license application until we receive a 30-day notice from the applicant, and we have not received a 30-day notice. In fact, we legally cannot receive a 30-day notice until the 200-foot rule issue is resolved. So they'll have to, if this doesn't pass, just gaming it out for everyone. If it doesn't pass, they'll have to decide whether they want to wait until next legislative session to, do whatever else that the committee's asking them to do, or to proceed with a Greenwich Street side application. If the 200-foot rule exists to protect schools and churches from being too close to a licensed establishment. So you kind of have to, I think that the burden here is how does the church feel about this, since the rule's protecting them. They're not here, unfortunately. Honestly, it's really just a matter of if you want to nudge them towards Trinity or Greenwich at this point. I
want to jump in and just say I would like the committee to write a resolution saying that we support the entrance on Trinity and not on Greenwich at all. And that, I don't know what else the reso should say, but we definitely want to make a point that we want the entrance, if they are indeed going to take over this space and actually operate out of this space, the entrance has got to be on Trinity. It cannot be on Greenwich Street.
The problem is that it's not just a matter of the entrance. It's a matter of we're being asked to change the law. This is a permanent thing.
I don't mind changing the law about the entrance. It's really, for me, it's the entrance, and then it's what's going to.
It's a little bit of apples and oranges here. We're debating a entrance with a mindset of liquor committee, and then we're asking to kind of circumvent, in a sense, the licensing process to codify a law that allows them to have an entrance on Trinity Street, whether or not we think it's a better place or not. And the process, the lack of information, and everything else we've talked about, to me, it says that we should not support this. They should come back and give another crack at it when we have enough information to make a decision properly, and not to have it rushed like this.
Mark,
is
If
the
they
wrong thing to
go-
do. It's two different things. The process as opposed to where our desires might be to have it if they open. It's two different things.
But Mark, if they go to SLA without us having written anything, they will
They
get.
can't do that. No. That's what I'm saying. It's apples and oranges. If the sense I'm getting is that everyone is pretty much uncomfortable with opining on approving this particular request that they have, then they'll have to come back to the licensing committee, and then that's when we opine on that.
Lucian, is that correct?
I mean, I go back to what I said before. If you game it out for them, either they're forced to wait until they either move forward and try to have the elected officials pass it, and try to make the argument that there's real issues with opening on Greenwich. Trinity may say that they're okay with it, and that may be enough. Fine. They may wait and say, okay, well, we're going to wait and try to provide whatever this list of information that you put out tonight, but it goes into the next legislative session and the delays are opening. Or they say, well, we can't get the elected officials to support us. We want to open sometime before next year, and we'll, just do what Live Nation was going to do and make their main entrance on Greenwich Street. I mean, that's it. This law is strange in that, you measure from the middle of the door and you kind of draw straight lines until you get to the front door of, whatever church or school or other bar, whether you calculate the 200-foot rule or the 500-foot rule. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself, what is the ultimate quality of life impact that what's the result of where you have that door? I mean, honestly, I remember the Live Nations discussions, and it was, the biggest opposition was about having all the cars and vehicles having to go through Battery Park City to access this area. It's going to cause all sorts of weird traffic patterns.
See, this is the pollution. I got to interrupt. This is the issue. We're talking about the door for their liquor license. We should be talking about the process that we're faced with right now and how I think egregious it is that we have to make this decision without any information. There's no official process for Community Board 1 for this type of thing. You've done it before in the past. It happens in other parts of the state. You got to think about it like, it's cumbersome because they're asking elected officials to change the law, but that's because there's no variance process, in SLA. Like in zoning, you actually go to a place when you say, well, the rules are actually making us have to build something that doesn't make any sense. If that exists in SLA, the only, way they can, get relief is going through the state. And it's up to you all to decide and weigh out whether or not the quality of life improvements of having an entrance somewhere else is worth any kind of impact on a church or a school that may be invoking the 200-foot rule. So,
Lucian,
I think
Lucian,
it's the process versus the.
But there is no process. There is no official process.
But when did we do this before? You said we've done this before.
They said that CB1 approved this for Nobu, or something was passed to allow Nobu for what was it, 195 Broadway?
Right. That's the location.
So
okay.
So this is not the first time this has ever happened, but until this committee creates a process like you have for licensing and large venues where you spell out all the information that you need ahead of time. I mean, this is just how this stuff is going to come up.
I have another question, though. I'm sorry, Lucian. What are they proposing to have go on in this space? Because if it's events that happen at night, it's not going to impact the church or the school.
That's the point, Pat. We have not seen. We have a presentation asking us to put a letterings of support so that
legislation. Have to tell us what they're putting in that space.
They said a restaurant. But they could do anything. Once they get the approval to make it, and it goes into Mariama's committee, you know, in terms of
You
the
see what I'm
fact that
saying?
it's,
If they're going to have like large events, that it doesn't happen during the day.
we don't
It
know.
happens at
We don't
night.
know.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
whole
point.
point. And
Yeah,
then
that's
and
the
they have
point.
no
We don't
obligation
know.
to commit to that tonight.
Right.
Well, all I can say is I definitely, as a representative of Greenwich South, I definitely do not want an entrance, as you heard with Live Nation. I do not want the entrance on Greenwich Street. Now, World Trade number 5 is going to be under construction. There are other, you know, there are other things that go on, and Greenwich Street is already, all I can tell you guys, because none of you live in this, you know, that area, my area, is that Greenwich Street is already always backed up with traffic because it's, you know, the only game in town. Cedar Street is the
Okay.
only street going west, Greenwich Street goes south.
Well, okay. So then based on the information that we have regarding this presentation and this request, do we feel we're in a position to take a vote in terms of whether we even want to write a resolution, or if we do, whether we're in support or not?
I put my hand back up, Francis. I don't know if you
Francis,
saw
there are a
it.
I'm
few more
sorry, I didn't
hands
see
up
it.
there.
Okay,
Maybe want to call
Miriam.
them.
Yeah, so first I want to say, Nobu is not what this sounds like, at least not to me. Nobu's on a corner. It's a much smaller restaurant, certainly not a building with a capacity of 5,000, but I don't even think even 500 people go there. But aside from that, I guess based on what Lucian said, although I am still uncomfortable, I would agree with Pat and suggest that we wrote a resolution in support, however, expressing our discomfort here tonight so that the representatives and Trinity don't feel compelled to do what we did, that they understand that we weren't comfortable with it. And asking not only for a letter from Trinity, but also from Eulene and from Brian. If they supposedly support it, let us see that. And if we receive that in time by the full board, then we can support it or not at that point. Ultimately.
Okay, Mark, how do you feel about that? Mark.
Again, anything that says that we support, I don't think we should opine on whether we support Trinity Street or Greenwich Street. The process that we're being asked to do now at the last minute and rushing, why we didn't get this sooner, I don't know. It's just, the process is just not the right thing, the way we should operate.
We could put that in terms of our discomfort.
But like I said, it's apples and oranges. Opining on
Okay.
the location is a liquor license thing. This is the process that they're asking us to change the law, and it's
support
two
changing
different
the law.
things. We should not be placed in this position at the last minute with limited
Right.
information, not knowing what's going to go in there, not knowing what can go in there later. Considering the occupancy, we haven't seen the traffic plan. The traffic plan that they had before was awful. So my opinion is that we should just say that we reject the process and we're not going to opine on a location and that they need to come back.
We can do both.
Mark,
We can.
Pat, I know you're worried about the street, but
we can
we have
do.
to look at it from
Okay.
the perspective of the board and the committee and what we're being asked to do. The details, like I said, the details of what you're concerned about is different from what we're being asked to opine on.
Yeah, but Mark, we can do both. We can write a resolution that begins with "We're in support." However, you know, and list
That's all they're
all
going to
of these
read. That's
things.
all they're going to read. That's it. It's not going to.
Mark, can I ask you one thing?
And
Yeah, sure.
What if we also ask that Eulene or the Assembly and Brian or the Senate also write the legislation as such that should this, the people for whom we're doing this now leave, then maybe it reverts back to how it was, or that
So
has
it's
to be revisited
non-transferable,
or something like that. Maybe they could write that into the legislation.
that it be not transferable,
Right.
something like that.
I
Joel,
don't know about that.
that
Real
Joel,
fast,
Brad,
we've
It's a
won a lot
legal
of,
question.
yeah, I don't know how to
we've won a
raise
lot.
my hand on this thing, but so
go ahead,
a
Joel.
couple of years ago,
Excuse,
of
I'm
years
sorry, we've
ago-
let a lot of board members speak, and I've gotten a few people in private message me that they would like to speak as well. I was wondering if we could also extend the floor to other members of the community that have their hand up.
on the
Okay, go
Has
ahead.
every committee member had a chance to talk? Jeff,
well, I
has
just
every
want to
committee
say
member had at
something.
least one chance to speak?
Are these members of the community or just?
I cannot, I have to leave. I have to go. I can't stay. So,
But I didn't see your hand up, Jean,
no, I just put it up now. I have to go. I'm so sorry. I cannot
to
stay.
say you have to go or to make a
No, no.
statement.
Well,
It's,
I still have a lot of doubts, and I'm not sure this is the complete vote that answers all the questions that I have. I would probably abstain. So,
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
Right.
Joel, and then you could probably start letting some of the other people, because we have not gotten to our business yet, and it's 1:45, and we have another presentation, so we have to look at beginning to wrap this up in some kind of way. Go ahead, Joel.
All right, just very quickly. So really for Mark and Lucian. So 2 years ago, when they came before us, they made the presentation, Live Nation, and we asked them for a traffic study, Mark, which you alluded to. And we asked them for other things too. They never gave us anything that we asked for after we said no to their initial reports that they gave us. And then COVID happened, and now it's 2 years later, and they're hoping we have amnesia. But I'd like to go back to that meeting and let them answer the questions that they didn't answer 2 years ago that's still out there, and they're hoping we have amnesia, and we're not going to remember that. But I'd like to go back to that board meeting and let them come back with the answers to the questions we asked them 2 years ago about the traffic study, security, nightlife, the capacity, and everything else. We never got those answers. And you're right, this is two different issues. This is not only an entrance issue, but this is a large venue that's trying again to encroach upon a neighborhood with no answers to how they're going to blend in. It doesn't work.
It's two different entities, though. This is not Live Nation.
This is Live Nation.
No, it's not. May I speak, please? This is Jared, and I represent the owner. Live Nation was a potential buyer back many years ago. I acquired the building back in February of last year, and we now own the building. The building's owned by Untitled Companies. It has nothing to do with Live Nation. It has nothing to do with Michael Rapino. We are not putting a concert venue inside of this space. We are simply looking for the approval to have the ability, when the time comes, to go ahead and license the venue, not for a live music venue, not for 5,000 people, because that number is incorrect in terms of the total occupancy, in terms of what a potential use might be, even if it's food and beverage. And we are simply looking for the support of the community for us to be able to go and pass a law that allows us to potentially use the Trinity entrance in lieu of the Greenwich Street entrance, which will get evaluated when we make a formal presentation based on what the use and proposed use would be down the road. Live Nation has nothing to do with this. It will not be a concert venue. Absolutely not. You can look up the type of companies. Ron Burkle, who is the chairman and CEO and founder of it, has nothing to do with Live Nation. He owns hospitality brands. It will not be
Well,
the
That's the
colors,
whole
it will not be
point,
Live
the
Nation
it
or
is a
not,
single
Francis.
tenant
Francis,
building.
that's
but
the
that's
whole
the whole
point.
point.
When
We
they
don't
make
have
when they make their presentation,
Wait,
that's
can
when we
I-
should opine on this, and we can do it both at the same time.
Can
Why
I-
we're
can
being
I
rushed
speak,
to do
please?
it now
Hey,
is
Mr.
not right.
Bernstein.
Yeah, when they come back with their license, if we think that, all right, Trinity Place, let's ask the legislation. We'll have two resolutions. One, we support the place with the stipulations and less than, and then a second resolution, state assembly, please have Trinity change the law to have Trinity Place. That's how it should be done, not like this.
Okay, before Mr. Bernstein goes, anybody else on the committee have anything to add to this
My hand up.
discussion before we move it to Mr.
Yeah, Francis,
Bernstein?
it's Pat. I have my hand up.
Pat, anybody else?
So is
Okay,
that,
so it's Pat and then Mr.
Yeah, I have mine up
Bernstein.
too.
Oh,
And,
Mary-
and Megan.
this
Megan
is
is
Oh, I can't see
specifically,
your hand, Megan. Okay,
Jared just
so we have
spoke,
three
right?
people.
He's now the owner of the building?
No, that was Jared.
Jared, that's what I just said. He just spoke.
He
So I would
just
like to
spoke,
know
yes,
why
I'm
Jared didn't approach, number one, come to us with a letter from Trinity saying that Trinity supported this. And number two, have you spoken to the high schools to or the Board of Education to say that they support this? I mean, you should do your homework, which is to approach the entities that will be affected by your entrance being on Trinity.
Absolutely. And we've spoken with the church, which is what, Mark was just talking earlier in terms of programs with the high school and education. Anything we look to do inside of the space, we will have active outreach programs and ensure that there are
So do you have a
opportunities
letter of
for
support?
employment within the space for education inside the space. Mark, where do we stand with the letter of support with the schools?
And the church?
The church,
Well, the
sorry.
church was
Church-
supposed to be here with
Yeah,
them.
but
Yeah.
in the meantime, they could have reached out to the church and got a letter of support from the church and from the schools.
And the
Well-
officials, they say, support it.
Well, Brian and
Yeah.
Yulene are introducing the legislation, so they're supportive of it.
But that's
The schools
you-
we're going to be reaching out to probably within the next month or so, or a few weeks. We wanted to come here first, get this okayed, and then move on to that. Trinity, we can get a letter from them. We'll be meeting, for the next week or so. We'll ask them for a letter.
Okay, so I think this is done backwards. I think you should have gotten
Right.
a letter and then come to us and shown us that the two entities that will be affected most, next to my neighbors and myself,
Mhm.
are the ones who are in agreement with you having your entrance on Trinity, and then come to us. And if you had a letter, 2 letters saying that they supported it, I think you would be met with less resistance.
We're already an hour
It's
into the
also required
discussion.
from the officials.
Yeah.
You
We
don't
don't
have
have
a bill
enough
number.
information. If we debate this at the full board, it's going to be in a 2-hour discussion. So, I mean, it's just like it's a moot point, really. Like I said, I believe we should just have a resolution that says we don't support the process and that they should come back when they're ready for their liquor license, and we can either support the liquor license in whatever way and then support the Trinity separate resolution supporting Trinity Place as the entrance. That's the right way to do it. This is an ass backwards way that we're being forced to make a decision when we don't have enough information.
Okay.
Whether or
Mark,
not
Mark,
Trinity's the
hold
right
that thought.
place or not.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold that thought and you'll bring it up in a minute. Let Mariama and who else? Megan and Megan speak.
Thanks, Jen.
Mariama.
Yeah, I think the way that I understand it, understand what I'm hearing, is that the legislation is conditioned on our buy-in. It's not like it's automatically supported by the officials. There's no bill number that we've been presented with that I could look it up, even though Yulene and Brian aren't here. I could read it for myself. So I would appreciate letters from them as well, saying that not only would they support it because we do, but that they support it if they do. In
Okay,
addition to the schools
right.
and the church.
Okay. Okay. Megan.
I'm just curious how I feel blindsided by this. Why
Right.
is this coming to
Oh,
us
yeah.
last
Yes.
minute? I mean,
Yes.
I'm assuming that the applicants are well aware of the history of this location, the resistance by the community that was with Live Nation, whatnot. Why are we blindsided by this? I think
Exactly.
probably, in my opinion, the best thing to do, I'd like an answer. I think the best thing to do would be to write a resolution just saying that outright, that we cannot support it under these circumstances because we don't have this information. It was brought to us last minute. And I do want to add that if it were to come down to, Greenwich entrance, I just want to give my assurance to those residents. I have no intention of ever supporting a Greenwich entrance at that location.
Okay.
Can I
So
speak,
basically, okay. All right. Okay. So we're gonna
Francis,
let
you have a
Mr.
couple of
Burns-
people, Donald, I see, and Jarrett. Maybe you can get them in there. They
No,
haven't spoken yet.
Jared spoke already. Mr. Bernstein wanted to
Yeah.
speak, and
Thank
then
you.
Mr. Bishop.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'll be brief because I know we've been talking about this a long time. I'm counsel for what will be the applicant here, and I just want to make very clear what we're asking for and what we're not asking for. We're not asking you to approve a liquor license or any particular type of operation or hours or anything like that, you will have a complete and full opportunity to vet that like you do any other application. All we are asking for, so all the concerns about the street and the traffic, all legitimate concerns that we will address when the time comes. All we're asking for is to allow this building to be treated like any other building that's applying for a liquor license and remove the statutory prohibition of the 200-foot rule. And we will come to you with traffic study and a security plan and a sound report and do outreach to neighbors and do all of that. So by approving this legislation, you could still come back and say, we don't want this place to be licensed. We still would have to meet the 500-foot rule test. That's unchanged. We still have to meet the public interest standard. That's unchanged. We're still going to talk about hours and everything else that you always talk about, and you will have the exact same input that you always have on every other application. Part of the problem with what I think Mark is suggesting, and I understand where he's coming from, is if we don't have this legislation, we don't know what the entrance is, right? We have to assume that it's going to be on Greenwich, which nobody wants because the Trinity entrance would be precluded. So what I do here is everybody saying not on Greenwich, not on Greenwich. But without the legislation, that is the only alternative. And nobody wants that. You don't want that. The residents don't want it. We don't want it. But in order
With respect to the
you-
legislation, though, why are you
finish.
here last
Hold
minute
on,
without
please.
providing us more information?
Megan, we got that.
The-
And
the-
that, believe me, that
in
was
order to come back
the
to
first
you,
thing that
we
was.
have to have a design. We have to have floor plans. We have to know what the exterior is going to look like. We have to
We
figure out what
usually
the
have
entrance
that
is like.
before you even come
And
to
all
us.
of that is dependent on what the entrance is. So to come to you with a plan that may not be the plan because it may end up being on a different street seems like it could be a waste of your time as well as our time.
Not
So
really.
again,
We've had that before,
all
but
all we're asking you to do is treat this building like any other building, and we'll come to you with everything else.
Okay, Mr. Bishop,
Hi.
5 minutes.
I just want to be very clear.
2 minutes.
Both Senator Kavanaugh and Assemblywoman New have indicated that they're not introducing legislation unless they hear from the community board. And I'm not, I worked on the legislation for 195 Broadway. We had a different set of legislators at that time, and there was it was a similar process that we follow. This is very different from 195 Broadway in that the basic plans for 195 were never going to change. We were not trying to decide where the entrances would be, and we're at a very preliminary stage in that process. But I want to assure you that neither the Assemblywoman or the Senator have turned around and expressed that this is a bill that they would do over the objections of the community board. And, to ask for a letter from them to say, I support this legislation, please do it, is sort of, from their perspective, the opposite of what they would want to see. And the reason for the legislation, again, is to locate the particular entrance. Very different than 195 Broadway.
Okay,
That's actually what I thought, Mr. Bishop. So I appreciate your response, that very honest and forthright response that you just gave us. I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I thought it was that way. I would, I continue to lay that proposal on the floor that I suggested before, that we supported with these contingencies. But I also do think that we may want to, like I said, include something asking that the legislation have to be revisited should they exit. One of my problems is, and this is taking everything that Mr. Bernstein said into consideration as well. We could love everything that they do, but Fide is the fastest growing neighborhood in our district. There's going to be more apartments. There's going to be more things. And if this is a permanent legislation, we don't know what would happen if we do decide we love them and they say once they leave, what's going to go in there? I don't want to be responsible for setting other future people up. Like you said, we do have 5 World Trade going up. That's going to be a residential building.
Remember,
There's a lot of
this is
people
not
coming to the neighborhood.
different issues here than FIDE. So it's not FIDE. I appreciate Mariama, but it's not FIDE.
Whatever we want to call it, Little Syria, Greenwich South, West Street, whatever. It's concluded in the part of the district that is said to be the fastest growing and has been for the past 20 years.
Okay.
And even as
So-
recently as the 2020 census, it was reported that is the most dense population down here. So
Okay.
I think we have to consider future residents.
We do, but right now we have to make a decision because we have support for the resolution with expressions of discomfort, and then we have no support, come back. Okay, so how do we
take a poll and see if people support the
Yeah,
resolution?
maybe just take a straw
Okay.
poll. I mean, my proposal is irrespective of what street that we believe that the entrance should be on, that the process for all the reasons stated in the last hour, that that we should not have ask for legislation to be passed at this time. We haven't even seen any language.
Right,
Plus
okay.
Mariama's
So-
idea of grandfathering it for another tenant is a good idea, but I mean, we got to vet all that stuff out, right? I mean, we can't do that tonight at the
Okay,
last minute.
so
And
all right, so that's one.
and then
I'd like to
and
call
then
the
further
question.
ask that
Yeah,
that
okay,
the
can we call the
that the
question, Mark, on
applicant
your-
come back where we simultaneously consider their
Okay,
liquor
can
license
somebody call the
application
question?
and their and then their
Okay,
request
Mark, we hear
for
you.
Trinity
We got it,
Place,
we got it.
which will likely be approved at that time.
Somebody call a question, please, on
Yeah.
Yes,
that.
I call the question.
Okay, Pat, how many are in favor of no support and come back? I'm gonna put it like that.
Do you want to do a roll call? or-
Who's gonna do, we got James, can you do a roll call? Please.
Yeah, for sure. So as far
I'm
as
sorry,
people,
James. Before you do the roll call, what are you doing the roll call on, Francis?
I
The
just
no
said,
support, what Mark laid out, no support and all the reasons why we were
So how do we
blindsided.
vote?
At
If
the-
we
but-
don't agree with
but-
that, how do we
but
vote?
Pat, it'll be. I
Then
think
there's
it should be
there's gonna
worded
be
just
another one for support.
not. It should be word. I'm going to word it as at this time, irrespective of the entrance that we desire. It's just this whole everything is just it's the wrong way to do things. It's just the wrong way to do it.
Okay, but we need a clearer understanding of how to vote. Like I'm voting that I want a reso. So how do we
Right,
vote?
that's gonna be the other one. This is the one where
I think it's clearer
is,
than if you ask people who's in favor of writing a reso.
Wait, do you want me to? Want me to state it again? What we're voting on?
But Mark, are you making you're making a
Yeah,
motion?
that was a proposal for a
resolution.
resolution. I thought that's what we're going
Okay.
to vote on.
Pat, this is a negative resolution. That's what
Right,
you're
it's a-
voting on.
Yeah, again, it's irrespective of the entrance, Trinity Place or Greenwich Street that the community desires. We believe that there should be no legislation at this time, and the applicant should return with with his liquor license application and secondly the request for Trinity Place as the entrance, where we would consider a resolution for asking the legislature to pass a law for that. And at this time, we just don't have enough information at the last minute to support legislation, and one of the main stakeholders was not present at the meeting, and that's basically it.
We don't have a quorum.
So just to verify, what
James,
you guys-
we're just taking a vote on how the committee feels. It's obviously it's gonna have to go back. It's gonna have to go to
Does
executive.
somebody
if we don't
second
have a-
my resolution?
Francis, can I ask you a question? Just so I understand.
Mitch,
But
we've been at
I don't
this for
understand
over an
something.
hour.
Well, I haven't said one thing. So I
didn't
understand
see your
exactly what
name.
Mark. I understand exactly what Mark's saying, and I just want to know so I know which way to vote my whatever the straw poll. If the resolution that Pat was for, the other, I'd just like to know what the other resolution is for, so I know which way to go. I understand Mark's side, and I just like to know what the other side is as far as the wording.
Okay, Pat, do you want to state that?
Or you can
resolution?
say it, or Pat, because I think yeah.
And well, basically, it was to begin with saying we are in support of this venture. However, we have a lot of discomfort with a lot of things and begin to list all the things in terms
Okay,
of
thank you.
This is only a reso on the entrance. We
I
support
understand.
the entrance being on Trinity, but
right.
you can
And
go
but
on.
we would just we don't support blah 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 all those
Well,
Okay.
we haven't yet been presented with what the entity will be.
I hear both sides now, so now I know how to go. Thank you.
Wait,
At
so,
the end
so
of the
just
day, it is a resolution whether we want the legislation to take action and vote a new law or not. It's not whether or not we like the entrance on Trinity.
so I am very confused about what this resolution is that we're voting on.
Guys,
Now,
I don't think straw poll. Just make a motion on a resolution and vote, and then if the vote fails, then
Right.
you know. Okay.
Solution.
Everyone's confused.
I sent the resolution. Is anyone second what I
Yeah.
said?
So Mark made a motion on the floor for to
I seconded it.
oppose. Okay. Now,
okay.
James, you can take a vote of who is here, and then let's make sure we have quorum.
we do have quorum. I just looked up all the members, so thankfully we do. Okay, so just so that I'm clear on the resolution, Mark, could you repeat the resolution again? Just so
Sure,
I
no
have it
problem.
right?
So basically, it would say language like this: irrespective of our desire for whether the entrance should be on Trinity Place or Greenwich Street, we feel that we do not have enough information at this time to support legislation to change the law. We also debate that, also mention that that Trinity Place was not present at the meeting to be able to be questioned, and that there's a previous history at this location that had a traffic report, a traffic study that was not satisfactory to the community board 3 years ago.
All right, wonderful.
Did
Thank
I leave
you.
anything out? Anybody? So that's the resolution.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'm going to mark down the resolution for Trinity Place. So first off,
And then what I said before earlier, to ask the applicant to come back with when to present the application for the liquor license, and we will reconsider the Trinity Place entrance at that time, which you can which at that time entrance.
wonderful.
Right. I forgot that part.
So as far as everyone that's here, Mark, do you support the resolution?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Darren, do you support the resolution?
Darren votes yes.
Wonderful. Francis, do you support the resolution?
Francis votes yes.
All right. Mitchell, do you support the resolution?
The thing that Mark just said, yes.
Okay. Mariama, do you support the resolution?
So yes is writing a resolution opposing them, right?
Yes, it's writing a resolution opposing that.
So no, I don't support the resolution.
Okay. So Joel, do you support the resolution?
Yes.
All right. Megan, do you support the resolution?
Yes.
Patricia, do you support the resolution?
Oh,
No? Okay. And Chow, do you support the resolution?
Yes.
Wonderful. And none of our public members are here right now. So perfect. So in total, we have 6 in favor, 2 opposed, and we're good.
It's a 7.
Oh, 7. I'm sorry. I'm doing the math right now on my little laptop.
7-2. 7-2, I believe.
Perfect. Yep, we're good. 7-2.
Okay, so the resolution to support, no support, and have them come back with more information is what we're going to do.
All
Sorry,
right.
guys. And if you came a couple of months ago, we could have had more time to vet, but it just can't be
It was
rushed.
a lot of,
Sorry.
it was we spent over an hour on
Yeah,
this issue,
yeah.
and we have another issue to go, and the regular business of the committee. So thank you very much. Sorry it may not have gone the way that you were anticipating, but had we, as everyone has said, we feel like we've been blindsided. Not enough time to really. Obviously, it's a situation that needed a little bit more discussion than an hour, and we didn't have the time to look at the information beforehand and opine enough about it, and we are where we are. So we're going to take this to executive and the board at the end of this month, and that'll be it. Okay.
Also,
Okay.
do we mind going faster for future items just because we're
Oh
down
no,
to
faster.
exactly quorum?
No,
We're down to exactly quorum, so if we want to make any other resolutions for any of the applicants,
no.
we do
So
need to.
moving right along, we're finished with item number one. Number two.
I would recommend moving items 2 and 3 after your voting items.
Items 2 and 3. What? I only have items. I don't. What do you mean 2 and 3? Where's 2 and 3?
3 is feedback for Hyde Lounge Incorporated at the ours.
I don't have that on my paper, and so I didn't know about item 3. That's what Darron was talking about earlier when he got on. I didn't see that, so I wasn't planning on that. So Mariana, please go.
That's on Lucy's email earlier today about the reminder.
Mariama?
So we don't have any other licenses to vote on.
You're on.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought that we had Brooklyn Clay for tonight. We're here.
We do. We have a lot of licenses to vote on.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pop that off.
Let's go to the licenses in order.
Well, what was the other one?
Really? That's why I came to the meeting, to hear about the cannabis.
Yes,
we need to keep the quorum to vote, so we should go with the voting items straight away.
Okay, so we're going to Governor's Island area. Item number 125 Cartier Road application.
Wait, sorry. So you're skipping Hyde Artisan Hotel, which is us.
We're starting at Governor's Island. We will get back to Hyde Lounge.
We were told we were going to be early. I don't know if we could stay till the end of your meeting.
Well, I'm Governor's Island, sir, and we've been waiting patiently too.
All right, so Governor's Island, we are going to start with you at 125 Carter Road.
Yes, thank you. You can hear me, Donald Bernstein?
You're good to go.
Thanks,
You have to make that bigger so I can read it, because I didn't get a chance to read it beforehand, so I don't know what it says.
So this is a new application for a new liquor license for space on Governor's Island that is going to be Gitano Beach. My client, James Gardner, is here. James, you just want to make sure you're on here.
I'm here, yep.
Okay, James. So James and his partner have operated a Gitano for a number of years. They have one in Miami, they have one in Tulum, and they operated downtown on Varick and Grand Street for 4 years. And what it is it's an outdoor Mexican restaurant, mezcal bar, and lounge. And they were operating down in Varick for a number of years and were approved by the New York State Liquor Authority for another season in that location. But turns out that we're not able to operate there. So we were very lucky to find this location in the northeast corner of Governor's Island, and have entered into an agreement with the Trust for Governor's Island to allow us to use some space there for this outdoor restaurant, bar, and lounge. This is a seasonal license. It will only be operated during a certain number of months a year because it is outdoor space. There are not 3 or more liquor licenses within 500 feet of this location, so it is not subject to the 500-foot rule. It does not require meeting the public interest standard. It might help if you go to the map of Governor's Island, which we have quite a bit of the ways down, and you'll see
Oh, no,
where
I
it
need
is
to see all
located.
that other stuff. Ooh.
We
So
can go back to
that's the space. It's a triangular shaped outdoor space. You can see the blue on the what's really the northeast side of this, because it really should be tilted a little, is the water. So the longest sort of face of that triangle faces out onto the water. If you scroll down a little bit so there you see it on Governor's Island. It is on that northeast corner. If you keep going down to, I think, hit page 39 of this document. I think that
I've
would be
compiled a
helpful.
few different documents, so the pages are a bit off, but
Yeah, right. If you oh. All right, yeah, so that's what I was looking for. So that's the area survey. So you see our space that's cross-hatched. And what I wanted to point out is that on the left and bottom side of that triangular space are vacant 3-story buildings that are behind us on 2 sides, and the water is on the other side. So it's outdoor space, but it's sort of contained by these vacant buildings that are behind us. And there are more vacant buildings behind the ones that are directly behind us. And it sort of serves as a protective area for the space to contain sound. The main access to the space is in the top corner. That's where the main entrance is. It's about a 2-minute walk to the ferry that you also see on the upper left-hand side of that. The menu we have attached, there are a number of small plates. There are large plates, pork chops, branzino, chicken, tortillas. It's a full menu, and you can see tables throughout most of the space. We attached a letter from the Trust for Governor's Island. They are looking to increase public access. They're growing the food and beverage amenities on Governor's Island. They are trying to attract more residents in the area, more tourists. They indicate that they have about 20 food and beverage establishments on Governor's Island. Only very few of them have any alcohol service, and they're looking to expand that. There are 257 seats in the dining area, more seats in the bar area. There are 3 stand-up bars. This is not a late night venue. The hours are 11 a.m. until midnight. So as a general course, Gitano Beach will close every night by midnight. If there are private or special events and we're able to do it with the ferry and with the trust, we would have events on occasion until 1:30 a.m. with everybody off by 2 a.m. That may or may not be able to occur, but we would want the license to allow for that. But day-to-day open to the public, we would close by midnight. The music will be recorded music. There will also be some live music and DJs and live performances. We have done a few licenses and appeared before you a few times for venues on Governor's Island, and they were always approved in short order. One reason being that nobody lives on Governor's Island and there's really nobody to disturb.
Could you scroll through this, James, so I can see the rest of it?
yeah, is there any
Slowly,
specific thing you want to look at?
Notwithstanding that, we because of the size of the venue, we want to be sure that none of the music programming is going to disturb anybody. So we did something that I don't think anybody on Governor's Island has done, is we've engaged an acoustic engineer, Alan Firestein of Acoustalog. He did a report. We sent that to the community board office this evening, shortly before the meeting. He has done a complete sound study, measuring the sound that will emanate from our establishment. He even went over to the Manhattan side to take readings. and he has made a number of recommendations, which are in the report, all of which we will implement. And he concludes, based upon that, that the sound coming from our venue will not create any unreasonable or disturbing noise. I also want to point out that when we were on Varick and Grand Street, there was a building directly across the street from us, just 60 feet away. And there were residential units whose windows faced directly onto Gitano, which of course was outdoor space. I believe there are 10 units in what is the F line of that building that faced onto Gitano. And we received the support of 9 out of 10 of those residents. I think it's important for you to see that. So we attached those letters at the end of the packet that you have. And
the capacity, sorry, the capacity is 600.
The capacity is, I think, just under 600. That's the maximum
Mariama,
capacity.
that doesn't get into.
Yeah,
Capacity is at 600 according to the survey you put.
Yeah, and another point I wanted to mention is that we have 2 things in our agreement with the trust that are important to know. One is that the trust has the right to terminate their agreement with us if we created an unreasonable disturbance. So they're concerned about the same things that you would be concerned about, and they have remedies in the event that this did not work out for them. Secondly is we've worked out with the trust a scaled exit from the venue in the evening because the ferry only accommodates a certain number of people. So by the time of closing, I think that the last group of people that would remain to get on the ferry would be 200 about. Is that correct, James?
Correct. Yeah. Maximum. I mean, usually
so
less
that's
than
maximum. So the import of that is that when Gitano closes at midnight, it is not going to be full to capacity because we have to scale and the patrons leaving so that everybody can get out on the ferry. And we will have staff, as we did in Gitano downtown, that lets people know that they have to leave. So we get groups out at coordinated times so that, number one, everybody gets on the ferry and can get home. And number two, the place is not going to be full to capacity by the time it's an all-out close by midnight. And that's what I wanted to tell you. We can answer any questions.
I'm going to pull up the sound report, by the way. I know that you mentioned you put that.
I'm sorry?
Would you like me to pull up the sound report?
Mitch?
Yes, Francis?
Do you want to see the sound report? Do you think that that's an issue here?
You know, I'm not an engineering expert, but I would have more concerns if it was in a neighborhood.
Right.
I'm, you know,
Okay.
feeling a little more liberal because of they're on an island. So let me hear.
Yeah, by the way, I misspoke. I don't know why I'm calling it Gitano Beach. It's Gitano Island. That's the name. My mistake.
No. I was just talking about on Governor's Island. Like it's like, you know, there's no people that living over there. So as long as the noise doesn't, you know, like get to our shores, you know, I think that's what we should probably be concerned about, right?
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this so far? So we can move this
I have
along?
my hand up, Francis.
Okay, go ahead. I can. All right, Mariama.
So there are hotel patrons over there. I think that we should, and if these are the hours that we normally accept in FIDI, then I think that we should go ahead and go with them. But if they're not, I think that we should adjust them to match the other FIDI hours for each day, especially since the music does.
They're not asking for them on a regular basis. They're only asking for special occasions. So if you like, we could consider the number of occasions that they have per year.
Midnight every day. Did I
Well, it
misread?
is that basically that's what it is.
So is that
And
our,
they
is that what we normally do in FIDI? If it's not, I think we should adjust it to match the rest of the district. Because music does travel, and like I said, there are hotel patrons over there. There are people staying there overnight, and the music comes across the water to actual residents on FIDI, like on Broad Street, Stone Street, and stuff. We can hear it. Also, my question, with the size of the venue, are you also applying for or coming to us for a cabaret license, whether you're 600 people in the musical entertainment?
No, you don't need a cabaret license for musical entertainment.
You don't need a cabaret license when you have a capacity of 600 people? That's my recollection. I can look it up again, maybe.
There's a cabaret liquor license.
Yes.
I don't remember the occupancy.
That's what I'm
It might be
asking. Is
more
that
than
what you're coming to us for, or are you?
That's why I asked when I saw the capacity, thought might be a question around that.
Yeah, it's still required. Businesses with musical entertainment for more than
Musical
600
entertainment
people.
does not require a cabaret license.
I'm looking at it right now from the www.1.nyc.gov page, cabaret liquor license, New York City business. Businesses with musical entertainment for more than 600 people must have a cabaret liquor license to serve alcohol.
It's not more than 600 people, it's under 600 people.
It's not more than 600.
Well, your application says 600.
So it's not more than 600.
But your application says 6.
600 is not more than 600.
I was hoping
600
Governor's
and
Island was going to be
600.
fast, but it seems like we're going to play games.
And what is it? What's the occupancy?
It says 600 on the application.
Are they modifying the application verbally?
No.
So wait. What I'm hearing is that you guys are saying that if it's over 600, they need a cabaret.
600 or above.
600 or above. Okay.
Okay, so you guys gonna modify this to 575?
We can modify it to 590.
Okay, so you'll get us a new stipulation stating that it's 590.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of the hours, I don't have a problem with the hours. Does anybody else have a problem besides Mariama with the hours? Since they are kind of remote. Deron, I saw your hand up earlier.
No problem with the hours.
Anybody else have a problem with the hours?
Yeah, I do. 1:30, what days of the week is that?
I can't.
I think that was just for Joel. I think that was just for special events.
It is for just for special events.
It's
and
midnight every day, Joel. And then they said for special events, it would go to 1:30.
Right, and I was suggesting that if we have issues with that, do we want to look at asking them to stipulate the number of special events they have per year, because we've done that before.
Yeah, we've done that.
This is a seasonal event. This is a seasonal place. It's not like it's open 12 months, a year, right?
Are the special events kept to the weekend, or could they be any day during the week?
It could be any day.
Then that's
we ask other applicants for a number, so we should try and nail it down.
Right.
But again, if as you acknowledge, the sound isn't going to disturb anybody. If it doesn't disturb anybody at 11 or 12 midnight, it's not going to disturb anybody at 1:30 either.
But we have to be consistent with our stipulation requirements and approvals, regardless of these kinds of locations. So we're looking to try to have some sort of consistency.
Francis, you can hear when they do have very live music and loud bands, does travel across the water, and people down here can hear the music. That's what I was asking about the 1:30 time.
Well, that's why we got the sound study done. But that's why we got the sound study. So keep in mind that in the sound report, there are recommendations, including limiters on the system and design of the system. So, we will implement those, and based upon Alan Firestein's report and his study and his readings, it will not be, it will be compliant with the noise code. So,
Okay, so we can write all that into the resolution then.
absolutely.
Well, I don't know what the noise. I don't know what the noise code is, but when we hear music coming from Governor's Island, I don't know what the code is. I don't know what the decibels is. When you hear music coming across the water, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think there already are late night events on Governor's Island with music.
So what does that mean? That makes yours better?
No, it just means that it's been done, and it clearly is not creating any disturbance to anyone. Otherwise,
No, that's not the
trust would presumably put
there's
a
a
stop to it.
different approval situations, and it was a while ago under different circumstances. But we need to look at this in terms of the weekends. Friday, Monday, Sunday through Thursday, you want till midnight. And Sunday you cannot start serving alcohol until 12 o'clock. So that has to be changed. No, okay? You have to change the Sunday bar service hours from 11 a.m. to what the New York State allowance is.
It's allowed at 10 a.m.
On Sunday?
Yes, 10 a.m.
It was 12.
It used to
was.
be, but the law changed some time ago.
It's 10, Francis.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they
what are we gonna
changed it.
do about this vague request for 2 a.m.?
Good. Francis, can I say something? I actually understand Joel's point, but I wanted to point out maybe this might be help us. They also checked off the background music thing. So whether it's soft music or loud music, if it's heard in FIDI from Governor's Island, then it violates the background music, whether it's at 10 o'clock or 1:30. So they have to abide by the background music clause that they signed. So that should cover everything, unless I'm not reading it correctly.
Well, we said, we answered the questionnaire, and there would be background music at times, and there's also entertainment level at times. And
No. Okay, see, that's where, and everybody, and I'm not directing this to you personally. I'm directing it to you and to other people on the committee. The background music thing that myself and Jeffrey put in place, we're not talking about necessarily if you're at a wedding and you're hearing cocktail hour music like a piano playing a bossa nova. Background music, you could be across the street from Madison Square Garden and the Rolling Stones are playing there, but if it cannot be heard outside, it's considered background music because it's not bothering anybody. That's what the definition in the stipulation means. So if it's low, if it's medium, or if it's loud, it can't be heard by the outside and disturb the neighbors, whether they're across the street or they're across the river. And that's what the definition of the background music in the stipulation refers to, not necessarily the literal thing that we might talk about.
Okay.
So it could be in your favor. You could have loud music, but if Joel can't hear it in FIDI, it's considered background music. If Joel can hear it in FIDI, then it's not background music.
Right, but just to be clear, we check both. We check both boxes.
Okay, no, I was just stating it because sometimes we're using different terms, and that's really, I unless I'm 100% sure, because that's what we came up with when we were in a different committee. It's as long as it can't be heard, we use that term as background music for the purpose of these stipulations.
What if hotel residents hear the noise?
Then it's not background to them. Like I said, that's what it was general. It wasn't like background music, like colloquially, like like you're entering a restaurant and a flamenco guitar is serenading you in at a soft volume. It was really like, can it be heard? I think some of Mark, Pat, I think some of you guys that were on the old Tribeca committee when we came up with this, it was if it could be heard by the outside, and if it's disturbing to any outside the restaurant or outside the venue, then it's not considered background music. That's what the intentions of that thing was. not literally whether it's background or non-background. Like I said, if you live across the street from Madison Square Garden, but the place is soundproof, then it's background what happens inside Madison Square Garden.
That's right. That's right, Mitch.
And you're not going to have dancing here?
No.
Okay. You have live music and no dancing. Okay. Okay, so what do we do about this music thing? I can't. Oh.
I think we make the hours what the rest of FIDI is. If they already are, then we support this and move on to the next.
I think FIDI is 1 a.m. on weekends.
I can't see. I can't see. Oh.
But is it midnight during the week? I don't think so.
It isn't 1 a.m. on Sundays.
It's
No, it's
okay,
not.
so
Yeah, but we don't allow outdoor music at 1 o'clock in the morning.
it's 11 a.m. to midnight every day unless there's a special event.
Which is my concern.
I have a question about the study they said they did. Did they test the music and the crowd noise would be in addition to that? How it travels over the water to Lower Manhattan?
Yes, that's exactly what he does. He sets up equipment that creates the sound of the occupancy and the music, and then can study that.
And Joel says that they hear it.
And he measures ambient sound in all these places.
Does that include the crowd noise, 500 people yelling, or 599 people yelling?
Drunk people on a boat on their way back?
That's a concern. I don't know how you want to address it, but the people that live down there should opine.
Well, keep in mind what I said before is that people are going to, not everybody is leaving. You're not getting 600 people on a ferry that are all landing at one point. First of all, you have some ferries go to Manhattan. You have some ferries go to Brooklyn. It's basically going to be coordinated so that there will be, I believe, 3 ferries. I think that there's a, I have the times written down. I don't recall. James, maybe you remember the times. Yeah, there's an 11 o'clock, an 11:20, and a midnight ferry, and it's all staggered so that some people will be on each one of those. So you're not getting everybody landing, in Brooklyn and in Manhattan at the same time, and then people will be connecting with Ubers or taxis and going on their way.
Okay, so theoretically, the midnight is really when you're going to be like locking the door, because if the last boat is at midnight, the
That's
last
correct.
seating, I would imagine, is around 11 o'clock.
Well,
Yes.
no, a private event, everybody will be gone by midnight,
except for those times
before midnight.
Yeah, except for those times when they want.
Do you have any idea how many of these special events you would like to hold?
Yeah, because we'd like to put I mean.
James, you can answer that. I don't know that we know, because I don't know what the demand will be on Governor's Island.
Well, this is the first time application, so we're gonna try to work with you. So if you need more, you can come back, but at least try to figure something now.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? Are people allowed to ask questions or not?
And you are?
I'm just joining to listening to the debate. But it looks very clear that the trust has to approve any after midnight events. So what's the concern? If the trust has an issue with after midnight, then there won't be any after midnight events. So it's not like the patron is deciding himself to have after midnight events. It's actually going to be coordinated with the trust.
Oh, no, that's not the problem, sir. The trust isn't responsible for the rest of the district. Right? There are people that live in FIDI that can hear the music. That's our concern.
Yeah, I live here, so I'm more concerned about the party boats than Governor's Island.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, can we vote on this?
Well, we need to get an answer about this so that they can have these special events.
Francis, you want to get a conservative number, like between you, Mark, and you guys come up with something in a time, and then do one of those things where you come back like in next season, 6 months or whatever, and if everything is good, then to extend it. You want to go that route?
What months are you going to be open?
So it's May through October. This year will be from Memorial Day.
October. This is May through October of this year, right?
Well, not May. We're not going to open, and it will be the end of May now. Yeah.
June through October.
And probably end of September. It really depends on the weather.
Let's say 4.
Right.
Let's say 4 events. Okay.
No, I mean, the number that we've talked to Governor's Island about, and as the person mentioned there, this is James. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
The number that we have spoken to the Governor's Island Trust about is 20 a season, up to that amount. We haven't put anything official even in our documents with them, because they have to approve every single event. They have to approve the time. They have to approve the number. We have to work with their events team. We have to work with their security. So it's very much done in lockstep with the island. This is not just us deciding.
Okay, so we can put in 20 events as per stipulation with Governor's Island. No more than 20 events as per stipulation with the Governor's Island Trust. Okay, is everybody okay with that?
20 events in 4 months.
Right.
In a season. In the season.
In a season.
Okay, I think we have to ask for notice though for the people who aren't, for people who don't live on, who aren't going to be living on Governor's Island. For the rest, for our district, I think we need to ask for notice of when these events are going to be, because especially if they have the potential to be during the week when kids have school and stuff, parents should at least know on this day I got to do something. We have to try to consider everybody.
That's true.
Who
Especially
would you want notified?
Monday night.
You can notify the board, I guess. We're having an event this week at this time, and we could tell people, maybe send an email or something.
All right, we need to move along.
All right, call the question.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. So as far as specific stipulations go, are we just going to say, as per Governor's Island Trust, 20 events
Per season.
per season?
And I mean, if you're able to put this can be revisited if Governor's Island Trust is okay with it.
I'll put it can be revisited in 6 months. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that's
6
fine.
months, but I don't know, committee. I would like us to consider, since they're asking for 7 days a week, that we put something in there, that protects the weekends. I mean, that protects the weekdays.
Yeah, I would too.
This is leaving it really wide open for a lot.
2 a.m. on a Monday, and if the kids have a test or something, is going to be brutal, or could be brutal. I agree with you.
There, I understand the concern, but there are no kids there that are going to be affected by it.
No, the kids are
The
side-eye.
kids who live across the water, because we have a lot of families moving in that particular part of town. So we have to look at, you're asking for this for, 7 days a week. 20 events open to 7 days a week. I don't know. We need to look at wording that to maybe, what?
Are the kids not off on summer holidays for 3 of the 4 months? I thought they probably were on holiday for.
That's true. That's a fair point.
So, that's kind of surely taken into consideration.
Only June would be a problem, I guess, in that sense.
June and September, and then if they go into October.
Francis and Mariana, but you might, I know it's in the stipulation, but you might want to just as sometimes you guys say as a point of emphasis, also put in, and they agreed to abide by the spirit of the background music stipulation, putting that as a point of emphasis that could kind of be like an overseer of the things,
Agreed. Okay, yeah. I guess I could live with it if we did that.
No, but then you put whatever hours you want. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm saying then the hours are sort of irrelevant in a way. right? If we're making sure
what
that
are
the
you
music
proposing?
is not problematic.
Can I hear again what you're proposing?
He just suggested we put particular emphasis on the fact that you agreed to adhere to like the background rule so that the music should not be heard
But
on this side.
we checked entertainment level on we checked entertainment level. So
Then it's no problem to agree to that.
So, yeah.
If everything you're saying is true and I have no reason to doubt what you're saying, then everything is hunky dory.
We can
just wanna make
agree
sure
to
that the
abide to
stipulation-
what's written
stipulation-
in our Palestine's recommendations.
No. You agree to the stipulation of the background music, which in our definition is that it doesn't disturb any other residents.
We check both. We check.
Right. So we're just putting that as a point of emphasis. We're not adding to it. We're just putting it as a point of emphasis in case somebody doesn't read the whole thing. And you seem to think everything is fine, and so we're all on the same page.
I just want it to be clear, if you're having a stipulation on music, that it includes entertainment level music.
Okay, now, okay, this is what I don't like.
Entertainment level music that can't be heard by residents that are not on the
this
island?
is something.
Now
This is
the
something
BS
that they put
not
on
a
the
BS
stipulations.
I'm sorry, Francis. Now the BS meter on my head goes up because everything was cool until that last statement.
Right.
But just for reference, they did put this on the stipulations. It's right here. This has been something that they put on the
along.
Right, but that's
we're
what
not
we're
adding anything
debating,
new.
James, because the problem is the residents of FIDI hear the music typically on Governor's Island. If we can avoid that, then it doesn't matter. The hours don't really matter as much. If
It
it's
works
okay
in your
with the trust,
favor.
it's okay with us. So if we write it such that it says entertainment level music that cannot be heard.
Entertainment level music means nothing.
From anywhere outside the island, then we can do it that way. But the problem is we don't want to hear it over here.
Mariana, entertainment music is an expression that means nothing. You don't have to be a musician to understand that those words mean nothing, because anything is entertainment. Like me whispering a song in your ear could be entertainment. It's like the background music thing. It's like that's what we came up with. Like the board has. It's not up to them to change the language and the stipulations. They agreed to it. I just mentioned it to put it as a point of emphasis, where sometimes I hear some other members say those things so that it's not overlooked. This should not be.
I understand where you were going, Mick. I'm saying he's making this comment so that we understand that the music may be louder.
That's fine. It could be as loud as he wants it.
Than what we consider background music.
We're not changing anything. We put this in, I think as Lucian said, we put this in the questionnaire and we put it in the stipulation that.
But it just like you have to,
music. So
just like Mariana, just like when there's multiple parking signs, you go by the strictest sign. So the strictest thing, they could put entertainment music or whatever they want to put, but the strictest thing that has to be abided by is the background music stipulation that we've come up with. And I'm just suggesting to put that as a point of
That's
emphasis.
already there, guys. That's in section 4. We're all looking at it right now. So what's different? You've already got your stipulation agreed in section 4.
Because entertainment level music means nothing. It could be like a flute.
Now the board can only talk though. Sir. In any case, all right. So to be clear, we understand that it's in the stipulation. Right now, what we're trying to do is write our resolution. So what we are putting in the stipulations, what we are deciding to emphasize or not, is what we're discussing. And your comment about entertainment level music, I took to mean that it may be louder than what we consider background. Right? That's why you wanted to use those words instead of what we consider background.
Exactly right.
In which case, the hours, again, come into question, because if it's going to be louder, can people over here hear it? If they can, that's problematic. So
it's not background music if they can hear it.
And that violates the stipulation. Both. They took off both in the stipulation. They wrote down both.
Well, you can't have both.
Some will be background, some will be loud, is what they're trying to say.
Then it's BS. Then it's BS.
So I think it's really important to reference the sound report that Al Firestein did, and I know it was sent shortly before the meeting. He clearly says, and he measured entertainment level volume at our property in the city simultaneously, and he showed that it could not be heard.
Then it's background music to our stipulation. Entertainment level means nothing. Is it Peter, Paul, and Mary, or is it the Rolling Stones? It doesn't mean anything. These expressions are good when these lawyers come up with stuff. It doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry for it's really like frustrating.
Okay, so we can move on. We can pull that quote, and I agree with Mitch. Then it's background. If it can't be heard, it's background.
It could be as loud as you want, as long as it can't be heard across the water.
Yeah.
So
So we
we're
can move
almost
on to the next point.
Okay, so we're almost at 8, and as far as the stipulations go that I have right now, 590 capacity. Keep in line with the amount of number of events that the Trust for Governors Island has for the season. Come back in 6 months in order to review the season, and then include some stipulation regarding the background music to ensure that it maintains background levels for Manhattan.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Call the question.
Is everybody okay? The question has been called. Is anybody second? Do I hear a second?
A second.
Second.
All right. Amoruso.
I'm going to abstain on this one.
All right. Curtis.
Abstain.
Froman.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Hopel.
Yes.
McHugh.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Z.
Yes.
Wonderful. Is there any other member that I missed? Because I'm keeping track of everyone. At least I think I am. All right. Looks like we're good. It passes with 6 votes, 6 in favor, and 2 abstentions. So let's move on to the next agenda item then. Our second agenda item for Governor's Island, which
Wheeler Avenue.
yeah, 515 Wheeler.
This is for a new and temporary retail permit license.
Yes.
And you are here to.
I am Zara Lucas from Elke Hoffman Law, and with me is Mark Fox and Joseph Edgar. He's not showing up. I believe Mark is Joe with you, or is he on separately? Okay. Okay. I didn't see him
He's
in the
on
lineup.
separately. I am here.
Okay. And they will be the principals of the establishment on Governor's Island. And I see you've got the application up there. This is a standard seasonal license, obviously. The hours of operation are, relatively reasonable, ending at 7 p.m. Every day.
Wait, slow down. In terms of the capacity, you're going too fast. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The capacity is about what, 40, 50 people max, Mark?
Put that in the application. You have nothing.
Yes. Where is
public assembly?
No, that's public assembly capacity. Public assembly capacity would be over 74, so it doesn't meet public assembly.
Okay, go ahead.
And you move on to the hours of operation. They will be operating until 7 p.m. They have a small menu, which is included. It's mostly, a few cocktails. They'll tell you a little bit about the space that they have, and their space, just for context, I guess, is on the other corner of the island, across from where the previous applicant is going to be. It's not subject to the 500-foot rule, even though it's a full liquor license. And the music will be background. There's no plan for any additional music there.
Yeah, I can just say this is Joe. Thanks for taking the time, everybody.
just some additional context. So the site location where the venue will be is actually sited contemporaneous and around an existing packaged solar system that's been operating on the island for a little over a year. So our site boundaries for wheelers are relatively constrained, primarily to take advantage of people interacting with the packaged solar system. So, that's why it's a relatively small footprint. And that footprint, I mean, having, been on the island a number of times, the small footprint kind of allows us to have a lot of green space for, we're going to do art installations, things like this, meant to be a family-friendly location. Obviously, because of the power deficits that exist on the island, one of the big benefits is we can run this without a generator, right? So this is very much the reason the trust is behind this is very much because it's in furtherance of their climate change goals in the climate center, right? Where this is really the only meaningful renewable energy operating on the island, and this entire operation will be off-grid renewably powered, right? So, that's
Sounds amazing. Call the question.
Sure.
Can we do
I second.
a group, James, instead of a roll
Yeah.
call?
For sure.
Okay.
Does anyone abstain or oppose?
Amoruso abstains.
All right. Anyone else abstain or oppose? All right. With that being said, 7 members agree. It passes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good luck and
Thank you.
Thank
have a
you.
good
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Sorry to cut you off, sir.
No, right.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. Go.
All right. We're then moving into the south
87
seaport.
South Street application for a new temporary beer,
Yep.
wine, TC, Luchadors.
Yes, I did not get any stipulations.
87 South Street. Is that Pier 17? 87 South Street?
That's wrestlers in Spanish, Francis.
Okay.
Come on, let's go.
Is this on the pier?
It's just 87 South Street, and they did not include any stipulations.
They don't have any. No. Okay.
they did not
Moving
send
right
out-
along.
Here? Is the applicant here?
Moving right along then. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Yeah, next.
Next. Okay, so we have all of these, like 200 Broadway, 95 South Street, 111 Fulton Street, and 228 Front Street, and 4 Fulton Street. For renewals, I looked over all of them that I had, and they're in my area, and I don't have a problem with any of them, so I don't know.
If you don't, I don't either.
I second.
So Francis, 87 South, they're not here, so we're not voting on it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Moving right along.
I second the motion, Francis.
Because all of these places are okay.
We should send a letter to SLA about them or an email that they didn't show.
Okay.
All right.
So we're covered.
So
Okay, so all the renewals and upgrades and whatever, they weren't asking for anything outrageous. It's cool.
okay,
All right, the Tribeca.
next.
Let's start off with 288.
288 West Street. Are you here?
Yes, we're Brooklyn Clay. We're here. We're 2 different people. Jen is driving to pick up her daughter from school, but I'm here in the office.
Okay. Brooklyn Clay.
Hi.
What you got?
So we are a ceramic studio. We offer classes in ceramics and clay. We currently have a business in Brooklyn in Prospect Heights, and we're expanding to a second location in Manhattan. At our business in Prospect Heights, we have a beer and wine license. Basically, we operate classes from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. A couple of times a week, we also have one-time classes and private events. At these one-time classes and private events, we often sell beer and wine. No hard liquor, absolutely no background music. In our lease, it stipulates that we can have absolutely no amplified sound. It's a library-esque environment, and people come. It's kind of like a paint and sip, where they make ceramic work on the wheel. They have instruction, and they usually have a glass or 2 of wine. Again, no amplified sound, 75 people or fewer. Usually the classes are 10 to 12 people. often it's private corporate events like Etsy and Google will have team building events. They'll have a glass of wine or something as they do it. Currently at our location in Brooklyn, we have had absolutely no issues with the residential building that we are within. We've had absolutely no issues with our beer or wine license. It's not a primary part of our business, but it's a really nice addition, especially for these private team building events. We do like birthday events, things like that. We also do artist talks where someone will come and show their work and have a quiet conversation about their ceramic work. And it's nice to serve beer and wine then. Additionally, the building that we're coming into at 288 West Street is a co-op building, and all of the residents are very excited for us to be there and happy to have the beer and wine license. They've all submitted written statements of approval, except one apartment who's in the process of selling their apartment, so they're not in town and around to submit a statement. Also, if you'd like to see it, we have a video of support from the co-op board president who was unable to attend but wanted to send a video to support. I could share my screen and play it if you'd like to see it. Basically, he's saying, please give them a beer and wine license. We're excited to have them here.
They pay their rent on time.
I mean, we haven't started. You know, we're a brand new business. We're coming in. We're going to build out the space. I'm currently in the studio now if you'd like to see what it looks like when we have classes. Basically, it's a bunch of people making ceramics, learning how to work with their hands. We're really excited to become part of the community and to meet everyone. We also offer kids classes. So something to keep in mind is that, you know, we're aware that it's a child-friendly environment. And so, you know, it's like 10, 12 people having some wine a couple of nights a week. We're not trying to do anything crazy.
While they're doing ceramics, though, it's not just sitting around, you know, they're
right. It's not just sitting and drinking. It's while actually making
you're having an event while they're making
exactly. So
only because of the 75 people, technically, according to the Department of Buildings, it's a large venue. So I have to ask you about like, and you mentioned corporate events, about like black cars, like, you know, if there's going to be a traffic problem that you foresee.
We don't anticipate it. We're located on the West Side Highway, and there is like a docking station for cars and Ubers. But our event, even though there could be 75 people in the space at one given time, our classroom spaces max out at 13 people. So no event will have more than 13 people at the same time.
Yep.
If you had a corporate
Mary
event,
Emma,
you would have.
There's like everything is fine with the place, the hours, the method of operation, all that stuff. But you hit the nail on the head is the location. This is about 30 feet south of Canal Street. So you're traveling north, you know, and you make a right. That's the Holland Tunnel entrance.
Yes.
So any kind of double parking. Moms
We won't have
double
any of that
park
at
waiting.
all.
Can I finish, please?
It's not going to be a parking situation problem. It really isn't.
Can I please finish? Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any type of issues with double parking, Uber cars, waiting to pick up kids, is even just one car there waiting to do that is a catastrophe at that specific location due to the tunnel traffic. So, what kind of traffic plan do you have to mitigate that?
First of all, there are 3 areas for temporary parking right in front of the building. There's a carve out on the sidewalk, so 3 cars could park completely outside of the lanes of traffic. Second of all, with a maximum of 13 people at a time, even if every single person comes and gets dropped off at the same time, it will be very quick.
It's never very quick. I've lived in the neighborhood for 30 years. I lived over there. I know exactly what can happen. Any vehicle stopping to drop off and pick up there is going to be a traffic problem at that specific location.
Have you seen
there's
the
only
building?
3
So now
spots
that
there.
you know this, Laura and Jen, you will make this
we'll make sure
priority in terms of.
I don't know how they can. I think we have to address this more precisely than just on good faith, because I know this area. Excuse me,
Have you
please,
seen the building
ma'am,
itself?
please stop interrupting me. I know this area very well, and for many years, and I know what happens there when these kind of things, traffic problems happen. So we need to address this and how they're going to address it. We're not just on good faith. So we have to figure out what they're going to do about this.
Have you
So we
seen the
have
building
to,
itself? As there is a loading dock in front of the building.
I know
So
there's
the
a loading
previous
dock.
tenant, can you let me finish actually? Because the previous tenant installed a loading dock that allows trucks to pull up to the building without blocking traffic. If an 18-wheeler truck can pull up to the building and load and unload for 2 to 3 hours at a time, which it has done for the past 15 years of the previous lease, I don't expect that a couple of cars coming in and out will cause any traffic. Also, we have polled our existing students who intend to come to the new space, and over 90% said that they will travel with either bicycles, walking, or on the subway. Only 10% of our student base uses cars to travel within Manhattan. So we don't anticipate causing any traffic problems due to the fact that there's a carve out on the sidewalk. There is a loading dock specifically for our business that accommodates the space of an 18-wheeler truck, so 3 car lengths, and only 10% of our customers are going to come with parking. We've also
All it
spoken
takes
to
is
the,
one car,
please let me
and their
finish.
cars parked
Please,
there all the time.
please let me finish. We've also spoken to the parking garages. There are 3 parking garages within a block, and they will all make sure to accommodate parking, and we will send that information to our participants about the parking garages that are available that will offer rates for our students and attendees. So I think having 3 parking spots cut out that people can pull up to not block traffic when they load and unload. Also having 3 parking garages identified within block, and also knowing that only 10% of our existing customer base will utilize cars in order to get to the space. By the way, 10% would mean 1 person every 4 hours over the course of our classes.
All you need is 1 Uber car parked there waiting for someone for 5
Having
minutes.
3 parking spots,
how
I'm
do
not
any
quite sure.
businesses
Look at the
work in
times
this
that they're
city?
going to be open. They're not going to,
The times are fine. Megan has her hand up.
I'm sorry, I can't see.
So how are we
Sorry.
going to address this in the resolution?
I think we should take note of all of this. That they've discussed valet parking or
right,
or some sort of
But the
discount.
problem is the expectations of the applicant, with my knowledge of this area, is not realistic that there will not be any issues.
I'm sorry, we don't have a lack of knowledge of this area. Both Jennifer and I have lived in the city, me for my entire 36 years of life, and her for the past 35 years.
I lived in
both of us living in
Tribeca
the
for
same
7
zip
years
code.
as well. I mean, I understand that you understand the area completely, but I also understand my business, having been in this business for many years. Most of our customers are not car service customers. Most of them, this isn't a financial business where they're like pulling up, outside of the business buildings. These are not businessmen. These are like families and like women and artists and people who are coming for classes. They're
What
not
difference does it
coming
make?
Fair to
They're still
presume
pulling
that
up.
their friends out at a paint and sip or a clay and sip or whatever are going to
It
call an
doesn't
Uber
matter
to get
who it
home
is.
if they're
It's
drinking.
irrelevant.
I think
They're
that's
still
fair.
going to block traffic.
They very well may call an Uber to come home. We have 3 parking spaces right in front of the building for temporary pull-up parking that will not be in the lane of traffic, that is set aside from the lane of traffic.
And
I
all of
see
that can be
cars
put in the
parked there all the time.
stipulation.
And
So
yet,
they'd have to
cars
double
parked there
park.
all the time do not block
Francis.
traffic.
But
Francis.
if their cars parked there, then the Ubers will have to double park to drop off and pick up and wait. That's the
I'm sorry,
problem at that
it's not a
crucial
parking
location.
spot. It's temporary, and we pull up all the time, so it's not.
I'm not talking about the parking space. I'm talking about the street where they'll have to
I
double
see their
park.
hours, James.
All of this can be put in the stipulation that they have
Sure.
Yeah, let's
So
put it all in there.
So their hours are 9 to 9.
Okay,
So it's
so
rush hour,
not
it's all of
talking-
that when people are going to the Holland Tunnel. Mark has a legitimate concern, but I agree with Pat. We can put it in the resolution. Let's call the question.
Well, no, and the bar service hours, they have to change to Sunday.
I'm sorry, we're not allowed to serve alcohol on Sunday?
You are, but
Not at 9 a.m.
Not at 9 a.m.
That's fine.
10 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Sure,
Right,
that's fine. We won't ever do that anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so as far as stipulations I have then, be aware of double parking.
No,
And
no, 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 no.
No, excessive.
Not be aware of double parking. The applicant needs to mitigate that there won't be double parking
all right.
Well,
of Uber
no.
cars as the fact that it is just below the Holland Tunnel entrance and is a traffic congestion area. When I was on the CAT study for 10 years, so it's not just from living there, it's knowing the what the modal is over there. It's just, so it's going to be a problem.
All right. And then change the Sunday hours. What time do you want them to start serving alcohol on Sundays?
10.
10? All right.
That's fine.
Can
Sorry.
you unmute Joel, James, please?
Also, you can be more specific. They've already
Yes.
said they have a carve out for 3 cars.
Right.
And there was something else I don't remember. The 3 cars. There was some
They
low.
have agreements with 3 garages within a
And
block or
3,
2.
right.
They have, exactly. You can put
Right.
that in there.
That they have taken into consideration.
And they also
possible
stipulated that no more than 10% of their customers will use cars.
Right.
Yeah, you know what it's like when one Uber car just sits
Yeah, but
there.
if it's
What
in the
is, you know what?
We know, Mark, but we got this
If
is
we
a new
get complaints
business.
when
We
it's
give
in
them
the
a chance.
stipulation,
Right.
then we can talk to them about it.
So with those stipulations, can we call the question?
Second.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
So
second.
does anyone abstain or opposed?
I'm a no vote. Emma Russo.
All right. Amaruso is abstaining. Anyone else?
He's a no.
No, I'm a no vote.
Oh, you're a no? Okay.
Yes. I'll be responsible for this.
Is anyone else abstain or opposed? All right, the vote passes.
Thank you,
Now-
Laura and Jen. Good luck.
Thank you so much. We are
you,
excited to
Brandon.
contribute to the neighborhood and hope you come by and say hello.
Sounds like a little fun place. It's different, definitely.
Thank you.
Different from the other places that want to open.
Yeah, a bit. A little bit different than like a
Come
mass.
by and get my hands muddy.
Something has to open there, and so this seems to be one of the safer ones.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's what the building thought. They turned down like 5 or 6 other spaces.
I mean,
We're literally quiet with a few trickle of people coming in and out. I mean, I don't understand what could be better, for the residents.
All right, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Thanks.
luck.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, 183 Duane Street. Are they here?
Hello, 183 Duane.
183 Duane.
Earth to 183 Duane.
Going once.
Going twice. And sold.
So we are finished with Tribeca because 87 Walker Street is postponed.
Again, please send a letter to SLA that they didn't appear.
That they didn't appear. Okay, now in terms of these things for renewals, the only one I know is Gigino's. So that's the only one I can vouch for. I don't know about the rest of them. If anybody else can
Yeah, there's an issue. I don't know if necessarily they can do anything about it, but the Pier 26, again, the idiots,
That's the Vineyard.
and I'll call them idiots, Uber drivers, will stop on West Side Highway. And of course, going southbound, there's no place to stop, and drop off and pick up customers, and coming from there. So I don't know how we can address it. Just maybe
But we
send
don't have
them,
anybody from the public here complaining about traffic or anything, right?
No, I drive over there all the time, and the drop off and pickups is a dangerous situation. So
is that
I don't
something
know if
that
they
Mark,
can.
that's very dangerous? Is that
Yeah.
something that maybe the police, the local precinct could be made aware of?
Yeah, but my suggestion would just be to send maybe just send an email, a nice letter to them saying, please ask their patrons not to drop off and pick up on the West Side Highway. It's causing a dangerous situation for their customers and for everyone else.
Pat, can we look at this for the precinct meeting?
So,
Yes, but also, Mark, what do you mean that people call an Uber and the Uber driver's location?
right. So
Well,
the customers coming from there will stop on the West Side Highway. There's no place to pull over.
But that's
Well,
not the establishment's fault. That is a
Well,
problem with Uber.
I preambled that it wasn't. That's why I said if maybe we can just send a friendly note, making them aware of the situation, and maybe they can alert their customers that they maybe shouldn't do that, that there's better places for pickups and that kind of thing.
No,
So
but what I'm saying, Mark, is that when you put in the location, that is where the Uber driver is sent.
I understand that, and there's
So
signs
that's
all over the place, no standing any time in red and white print, but they still do it.
So then we need to, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it's
talk
a
to the police
double-edged
and-
sword. I mean, we can send,
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
requesting
that's
we
what
send
I
a
said,
nice
Ted.
letter to them, but
All
then
right.
get the precinct involved, and they can work in conjunction together. Maybe
Is
it'll
Lucian
help
still
stop it.
You still there, Lucian?
Yeah. So,
I mean, I don't know how we
Okay,
handle
any other these other places have any issues?
no, everyone else is, I haven't heard anything.
Okay, so they're all done. Let's move to the financial district. We've got 100 Greenwich Street for the hotel Fairfield Inn and Suites, downtown Manhattan World Trade Center area.
They're here for renewal?
No, we're finished with renewals. We're financial district, 100
so they're
Greenwich
here?
Street.
It's not financial district.
Well, that's what it says.
But
Financial
it's not. It's
district
Greenwich.
area. Okay.
Yes.
Are they here?
Greenwich between what and what?
Yeah, we're here. Yep.
Greenwich
Good
between
evening.
what and what? Between
Uh,
Vector and Albany?
yes, good evening. My name's Mastin Sansom. I apologize. I've had my coat hung up over there the whole night and I didn't put it on as I joined here. And I just realized that. But good evening, members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak here. My name is Mastin Sansom. I'm joined here by Craig Keppel. He is the general manager. I'm the attorney representing the client. This is Concord Panorama, Greenwich LLC, Fairfield Inn and Suites, New York, downtown Manhattan. That's the DBA located at 100 Greenwich Street, New York, New York. This is a tavern wine license. So no liquor. There would be the actual licensed area, though located in a hotel, is actually, not that big. The dining area is 1,500 square feet about, bar area 350 square feet, and kitchen area 207 square feet. There is an outdoor space. However, there are only 2 tables with a total of 4 seats. And the hours of operation, of course, the hotel would operate 24/7. Food service 6:30 to 1 a.m. Bar service 12 to 1 a.m. Outdoor service would end at 10 p.m., which I believe may be one of the stipulations of the board. There is a variety of music, including live recorded and DJ, as well as background. However, no music will be heard outside. So based on this discussion here, again, to use the sort of analogy of the Rolling Stones and what have you, as long as it's not heard outside, it's still background. So this would still be considered background music, but it does identify the types of music that will in fact be played indoors there. I think that's it. For now, I think I'll leave it up to you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
It's inside a hotel, right?
Yeah, we're currently a Fairfield Inn hotel, and we're converting to a courtyard hotel over the next 6 months or so.
My hand is up. I have a couple.
I can't see the hands.
Sorry, Francis.
Somebody
Sorry.
else. Oh,
I asked again. Greenwich between which 2 streets?
It's between Rector and
Okay, so it's in Greenwich South. It's in my neighborhood. Is it the one that's next to the new diner?
Yes.
Okay. Where the location outside? Do you mean on Greenwich Street or the outside?
Yeah, we were
tables?
just gonna put 2 tables out there if we can. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's not anything. It was just something that we might be able to get some people to see inside to come in for a drink. I mean,
Well,
our
yeah.
main
It's okay. I mean, I think it's fine because there are some tables at the restaurant.
Right.
north.
Yeah, there's some tables at
If you
suspenders.
only have two chairs, it's outside. I mean, it's fine. And the music is where?
It would just be on the first floor. Like I mean, we're
Oh, it's
definitely
in the lobby or something.
Yeah, it would be the definition of background music. That's it. We're a hotel. We're not there to make noise. Like we're more important. It's just an amenity for our guests.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. Just there are people living next door to you
Yes, I know.
on either side.
You're not looking to have any kind of events or parties there. It's just a space where you want to have drinks and food.
Yeah, as long as we're cognizant of the fact that there are people living on either side and that the people, people go outside to smoke, that, they don't make a lot of noise, and the people sitting at the table outside, if it's going to be 10 o'clock at night, that they kind of keep it quiet, then it's fine.
Yeah, no, we're definitely respectful of the neighborhood. We had 133 Greenwich for a while. We don't have it anymore. I got the liquor license for us there. We also have 151 Maiden Lane, the AC hotel, and we've had no issues at either place. So.
Okay, Mariama?
I think this is fine. The only stipulation I would recommend is that the outside close earlier than 1 a.m.
Yeah, we said 10 o'clock for the outside.
But it's at 10, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And again, you guys know that if there's trouble, I will be down there in my pajamas screaming.
No, I welcome you to come down, but
Yeah,
for a
and
drink, not
we'd
to
be
yell.
happy to see you like that, but because it would be a bad idea.
Now, moving right along here. It's getting late. Okay.
So can we call a question on this one?
Anything else? The question has been called. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
James?
So just to make sure I'm clear on the stipulations, change hours Sunday to 10 p.m. and we're good to go?
Good.
Sorry, I thought the table outside was going to not, at 10 o'clock, it was going to be rolled in every night.
Yeah.
It would be.
So it's not just Sunday.
Yeah, it'd be every day of the week.
All right.
Did you get it, James?
So there's two stipulations, James. One is the table outside is going to be taken in at 10 p.m. daily. And the other is the Sunday morning hours are going to being adjusted. You said from 12 p.m. to 10 a.m. for the bar service.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Just want to make sure I was good on the steps. All right. So, anyone opposed or abstain? If no one's opposed or abstained, the vote passes with 8 members. Just to make sure. All right, now we're going to move on to the next agenda item.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Members. Thank you so much.
120 Cedars, Pat, Cedar Street.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony Caraballo. I am the representative for Deck Foods, Inc., doing business as Mughlai Indian Cuisine. My client, Mahendra Talsiani, is also on the meeting with us. This is a beer and wine license only at 120 Cedar. Both my clients, Mahendra and his brother, Gary Talsiani, have 3 other establishments in Manhattan, Mughlai Indian Cuisine. They've been licensed since 2016. They have a location at 329 3rd Avenue. They have a location at 1724 2nd Avenue, and they have a location at 255 West 55th. So 2 of the existing restaurants are beer and wine only, and 1 is full liquor. It's a relatively small premises. It was previously Ruchi Indian Cuisine that closed down. It's 17 tables with 34 seats. There's a very small bar with no stools, so it's essentially a service bar. The bar is 5 by 3, so it's small. Hours of operation, 11 to 11, Sunday to Thursday, 12 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Background music only. Extensive Indian cuisine menu. They're well known throughout the city. They have a tremendous amount of legitimate Indian food, cultural food. It's authentic. Our posting was done on April 26th, and I would be delighted to answer any questions that your committee may have for me. Thank you so much.
Okay, we didn't ask these questions before, about your garbage pickup and your, bathroom situation. Yes, I mean,
So there's one bathroom, which is in the rear of the premises, if you look at the layout. And the garbage, I mean, they would schedule it. They don't have any issues at any of their other establishments. They're, like I said, they're seasoned operators. They have 3 other places. They all have licenses. The only other, there are no violations. There was a COVID violation in one of the restaurants. The liquor authority went in after closing in the kitchen, and one of the chefs had his mask a little low, so it was a bit overzealous in our opinion. But other than that, they're extremely clean operators. They've never had an issue with the state liquor authority.
okay, so that one bathroom, is it's gender neutral and is ADA accessible?
Yeah, let me see. It's as is. They took the establishment. It was a restaurant prior. Again,
It was an Indian restaurant prior. It's right
it was
across the street from me.
prior people. So I'm taking a look at the diagram right now, which you guys also have. I submitted it to Ms. Diaz on May 5th. I'm sure it's ADA. I'm looking at it right now. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, the diagram that I submitted doesn't have a classification, but when you walk into the premises to the right, there's the existing bathroom.
See toilet.
Yeah.
It's a tiny space.
Yeah, there's 17 tables, 34 seats. I mean, I think the capacity of it's 400 square feet. And the best thing I can tell the committee is that they're experienced operators. They have other liquor licenses. It's not an unknown entity going in there. They have experience.
That's not the question. I want the
Well, they
accommodation.
are an unknown entity in our community.
Right, and the accommodation, if I came in there with my friend and that was in a wheelchair, would they be able to come in and be comfortable, or somebody on a walker, who has
But Francis, I
mobility
think it's
issues?
grandfathered in because that space is the space.
Yeah, that's my point. They took an existing place and they were licensed prior. So this is just cosmetics. And this place closed down, and the Tosiani brothers, they saw an opportunity in that area. So they didn't make modifications to the premises. But of course, they would accommodate any of the things that you indicated. They're in business. They don't want to turn people away. So of course, they're not in the business. They're a restaurant. They're a friendly restaurant. It's not because he's on the call, but they happen to be 2 great guys. In addition to being good businessmen, they're true gentlemen. So of course they would accommodate. They wouldn't turn people away.
Okay, so what about the garbage? Can you?
I'd like to say something, Francis. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's
So
all right.
they're right next to O'Hara's, and
Right.
I want them to know, I mean, I've lived across the street from this location for 45 years. So there are people who live in my building whose windows face Cedar Street, and there are people who live above the restaurant at 120. And so first of all, I'd like them to be aware of the fact, which I'm sure they are, that there are people that live in close proximity to their location. Secondly, talk to Mike and everybody at O'Hara's and try to arrange carting service to pick up at the same time. Because anytime a truck comes down our street, we hear it. Also, because our street is so tiny, we don't really need to have, several garbage trucks coming down at different times and blocking traffic. It is the only street going west into our little community of Greenwich South.
All fair, all extremely fair. Mahendra, can you hear me?
Yes, I could.
Yes. Why don't you elaborate that you would, cooperate with the removal of the garbage?
I'm sorry, what was that now?
Deliveries.
To the committee, your plan on garbage and what you do at your other establishments, and are you willing to, meet with the gentleman next door and maybe coordinate garbage pickup simultaneously with the existing business at O'Hara's?
Yeah, no problem. That I have no problem at all. I will talk to my garbage people, and they are very cooperative, and I've been dealing with them for the last 6.5 years in my other location. We have no issue whatsoever. And I'm here to cooperate with each and every one, including the neighborhood, community board, and as well as my customers. So I don't want anybody, and traffic as well, as they were mentioned that the tiny street. So I understand that as well.
Right. Because as I said to the previous applicant, I will come down there and yell.
No, it'll be my pleasure. If anything, you bring it to my attention down the road, it'll be much likely that it'll be taken care right away.
Hey, thank you.
Any other issues for this location and for this application? The hours are, I can't see them.
Can I answer that?
Um,
Well, closing at 11 during the week and midnight Friday and Saturday.
okay, just change the Sunday to 10. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Never mind. Fine. Is everybody okay with this? Somebody call the question, please.
Call the question.
Second. James.
All right, so for 120 Cedar Street, coordinate garbage pickup, and is anyone opposed or abstained? Going once, going twice, and we have all 8 members in favor. Always
Thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood. I'll be coming there to eat.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
God bless.
8 Water Street, are you here? 38 Water Street.
38.
3 times. 38 Water Street, 3 times. Going once. Going twice. Moving to 25 Broad Street. A letter that they left or they didn't show. Because it is 8:30.
Broad.
Yep. 25 Broad?
25 Broad. 25 Broad?
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein, you like us, right?
Always nice to see you.
Last one.
Okay, Mr. Bernstein.
Okay, this space is currently licensed to Bobby Vans. It's been licensed.
Oh, yeah, know the place. Exactly.
Yeah, they're still there. I think they're going to be leaving at the end of June. They're supposed to leave.
Okay.
My client is taking over that space. Bobby Vans has been there since 2005.
Yeah.
They the stipulation with you gave them a 1 a.m. weekday, 2 a.m. weekend license. It was licensed before that. I don't remember who it was licensed to, but for a number of years before then, it's licensed. So it's been continually licensed for over 20 years. My client has a brand called Boucherie, and he's got a number of Boucherie restaurants in the city, one on 7th Avenue South that he's had since 2016. He's got one on 14 Christopher Street, 225 Park Avenue South, and his most recent one is at 6th Avenue at 1325 6th Avenue. So he's got 4 of them, a great French steakhouse, and now he sees an opportunity to take the space that's going to be vacant at 25 Broad Street. It is a full-service restaurant, the same footprint that exists at Bobby Vans. And the hours will be 8 a.m. and closing at midnight and 1 a.m.
And
Background
it's not
recording
open
music.
on weekends, right?
1 a.m. on weekends. Midnight during the week, 1 a.m. weekends, background recorded music only, no live music, no DJ.
Okay, so the liquor won't start till later on Sunday, and it has all the, because are they doing a lot of renovations? So everything's the same as for Bobby Van, so they have all
Yeah, I
the.
think there's a lot that's going to be used, but Boucherie is branded, and he's got his own designs. It's a French kind of look, so he will be making those changes, yes.
But in terms of the major structural there's, it's ADA accessible and all those other things, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, anybody see anything else with this application? I don't. Somebody call the question. Second. James?
So 25 Broad Street, Anyone opposed, abstain, or recused? 3, 2, 1. And the vote passes with 8 members in favor.
See, Mr. Bernstein, we like you.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Good to see
Okay.
you.
Thank you for your patience.
Good
'Cause I
night,
know
everyone.
you've been here the whole time.
All right.
Max left, I see.
All right. So now we have
Okay, so we have these other ones for the renewals. 4 South Street. Oh, that Bay Room. That's the one that's up on the and 130 Cedar Street. The renewal for the club quarters, the World Trade Center Hotel, Pat. That's
No problems
the
with that.
four World Trade Center. Oh, Italy. Okay.
Yeah, Italy, no problems with
And
that.
20 Battery to Gino at Wagner Park. Gino. Max,
Yes, I'm still
are
here.
you here for what?
I'm here for the third item that was added to your discussion agenda, the one that you didn't see, Francis, for the Artisan Hotel, and I'd love to go before your cannabis item.
Uh-oh.
That was third from the top, Francis. He was
I
right.
know. Okay, so.
And I complained, and then I was very
wait,
patient after that.
Just 1 second. So we're finished with these renewals. There's no problems with those, right? So they're all good. So we can get back to this last item and then we can all go. Yes?
I guess, yeah. Is this something else that has to be voted on?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the kind of.
He's saying no, so okay, go ahead.
No more voting items.
Our thing is not a
All right,
voting item.
perfect. Thanks. Just want to make sure we're all good.
Okay, we're all good with that last one. There's nothing for Battery Park City. So that's it for that. So the item number 3, which I didn't have, which is.
I'm going to tell you.
James, could you pull it up? Because I don't have it.
Item number 3 for Battery Park City. Wait.
No, not Battery Park City. It was the.
This was your discussion items.
Discussion item number 3.
Yes, feedback for Hyde Lounge at 24 John Street.
That's right. So I could just explain it to folks because we were added at the last minute. So good evening, CB1. Nice to see everybody again. I do see a few new faces. My name is Max Bookman. I'm an attorney. My law firm is Pazetsky and Bookman. We are frequent flyers with your committee. With me is Phil Dorn, my associate, who you've been seeing a lot of lately, as well as the team from the Artisan Hotel, the owners and operators of the hotel at 24 John Street, as well as Dirk McCall, who is doing the community outreach. So what we're here, so thank you, by the way. I know it's late. I'm not going to take up much of your time, I promise. We are here just to speak for a few minutes about the Artisan Hotel at 24 John Street. We're going to be coming to you next month in June for a normal liquor license application on, with all the normal discussion items that we typically talk about with liquor license applications, a packet, presentation, all of that. But before we came to you in June, since there was a bit of a history with this license application, and there's been a reset in the team that's involved, we thought it would be a good idea just to say hello in May to let you know and let the community know that we are coming in June, tell you a little bit about what we've been up to since you last saw them in September, and tell you what we plan on doing before the June meeting. And if there's any feedback that you have, we'd be more than happy to hear it before June. So just by way of very quick background for those of you who maybe need a refresher on this hotel has been in the works since going back to at least 2008. It's on 24 John Street. It's a boutique hotel, artisan hotel. It's not one of these food and beverage heavy hotels. It's not like there's F&B areas all over the hotel. It's not one of these so-called lifestyle hotels. In fact, when they opened in April 2019, there was no liquor license in place at all. They had come to you before they opened. You approved them, but they never wound up filing any liquor license application with the SLA. So by the time they opened, no liquor license, no restaurant on the premises. The only F&B that they ever wanted to have was on the very top floor of the hotel, a bar and lounge, which was fully enclosed. COVID happened. During COVID, when they reopened early on when everybody tried to reopen during the pandemic, they had to lower their rates to stay alive because no one was coming to New York City. Some pretty unfortunate events happened during that period of time that was pretty well publicized, and this committee spoke a lot about. And then they came back to you because then they were open, they were ready to apply for their liquor license. They came back to you after those events had happened, and there was a lot of opposition, and you disapproved them. They came back again, you disapproved them again, and then they decided to step back. They decided that they wanted to take a breather, turn a new leaf, reset their team. That's when my firm got involved. That's when Dirk McCall got involved for community outreach. So since September, and Dirk is just going to spend 60 seconds talking about, in detail the community outreach that he's been doing. They have been trying to recalibrate what their proposal is to you, because at the end of the day, they still want to have a liquor license. And we think that basically they got off on the wrong foot with you in a really bad way. But the proposal that we're going to be coming to you with in June is one that's really limited and really within the heartland of things that you typically approve. It's not a hotel liquor license. It's just a regular bar license for the top of the hotel. No outdoor space at all. 0 outdoor space whatsoever. 100-person occupancy. So not the biggest, not one of your huge venues, 100-person occupancy, not a destination location. In their normal operations, it's going to be background music only, never any promoted events, never any events where cover charges are made. They do want to have the opportunity to do some buyouts for some corporate events where they would want to have DJ, but never live music. They're willing to stipulate and limit the number of buyouts that they do. So that's the proposal that we're going to be coming to you with in June. I'm announcing here, and I'm hoping that anyone who's interested, that we obviously are reaching out to lots of people, but anyone who's interested who you'll let them know as well that next week, Thursday, May 19th, we're going to be having a meeting, a community meeting. We're going to be flyering it and posting it all around at the hotel, at the space that we want to have the bar in. So any interested member of the community can come. They could actually see the space. They could speak with the owners and hear more about the proposed method of operation, address any questions and concerns. If there are concerns, we want to hear them because we want to be able to address them, because as I said, ultimately, this is something that I do think is approvable by you and definitely the State Liquor Authority. So thanks for your patience with this. We're happy to answer questions, but just very quickly, if I could just turn it over to Dirk to give a little bit of more detail on the outreach that they've done to date.
Thank you so much, Max. So we were talking initially with the community board, originally reaching out to some community board members to try to find out what type of concerns people might have. We requested the letters that were blanked out about who submitted them, but to get a sense of the type of community concerns that were expressed at the last 2 hearings. Then we started addressing that with the hotel ownership and the management. We met with the First Precinct Council. We found out that there haven't been problems with the Precinct Council with the First Precinct Community Affairs people since then. We met with Sarah from the First Precinct Council. We met with the Financial District Neighborhood Association and had a number of their leaders take tours of the facility. We've reached out to the local, the neighboring co-ops and had a number of their leadership come through. And we've been trying to identify community leaders who are in the area. So that's where we currently stand. Then we're going to be doing the big event next Thursday, and hopefully we'll hear even more.
So
okay, can you send Lucian the information for the event so that we can share it?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, and
No
just
problem, Mariama, no problem.
I can't. So this venue is going to be in the top of the hotel, and it's going to be covered. It's going to be indoors. It's not going to be outdoors.
Completely indoors, not outdoors in any way. No terrace, no covering.
Right.
It's just an inside. It's the top floor, top of the hotel. No
So
outdoor.
I guess it behooves you to get in contact with all of those buildings around you because they're all around you, and there are some that are being built that are going to be up above you. So you're going to have to, so maybe a block over William Street, stuff like that may, with those buildings going up over there, and who knows what's going to happen on the other end of Nassau Street with that building going up.
I do want to jump in and say that Jerk and I have spoken a few months ago. Also, I asked Brian Nelson from the first precinct, and he has verified that there has not been any trouble recently, so that's a good thing. So take that into consideration.
Thank you. I mean, they've if you look at their reviews on TripAdvisor, which they're rightfully proud of, I mean, they were labeled top hotel to stay at downtown. Again, not a destination hotel, but if you read the reviews, it's just a quality place to stay. And like any hotel, they're not looking for a restaurant or an over the top type of place. The hours I should have mentioned. I mean, they're looking for midnight on weeknights and 1 a.m. on weekends, which is in line with your guidelines. So
makes it easier.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
1 a.m. Friday and Saturday, not Sunday.
That's right. No, Sunday's a work night.
Okay. Any other questions, committee?
If you'd put me first, you would have had a lot of questions. You all just want to end the meeting.
So, Max, we
have to hear all this again next month.
To see your smile because you didn't come last month. So we're making you.
That's right. Yeah, I got a lot of you guys this month, so I guess we're even. Okay.
So we're good. Okay, guys. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you for your patience and waiting. And Max, we'll see you soon.
See you next month.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm up, right?
Yes, Mariama.
All right, I just want to make sure that she is in the panelists. We have Mar Fitzgerald, or Mariama, aka Mar Fitzgerald from Board 2, who was the primary organizer of the Downtown Cannabis Forum. So definitely want to have her here speaking tonight, but I can give you a quick synopsis of what we did last week. So again, Mar basically put this whole thing together. And once it became the event that it was developing into, that's when the borough president decided that he would, host to make it, that much better, help us with the venue and all of that. And so on the evening of April 28th, that's in fact what he did. Borough President Mark Levine sponsored a program, a forum for us for boards 1 through 4 to start the conversations about the emerging cannabis business landscape in our neighborhoods, really produced by Mar from CB2. I don't think I mentioned this, she was from CB2. So representatives from boards 1 through 4 were on the panel, so myself included. And Tremaine Wright, the chair of the New York State Cannabis Control Board, was there, and she was really like the featured panelist, the one with all the information. Although District 2 Council member Carlina Rivera was also on the panel, as well as a cannabis attorney and law professor, Christina Bucola, Damian Fahan, a founder of, I think he was a farmer, upstate New York. And there was the CEO also of Camper Moore and Sons LLC, and they are experts on the panelists as well. They were on the panel as well. So on March 31st of 2021, the state legalized adult use of marijuana for persons over the age of 21 by passing the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, otherwise known as MRTA, MRTA, the acronym. The legislation created a new Office of Cannabis Management, also known as OCM, and the New York State Cannabis Control Board. At this time, medical use of cannabis is permitted. However, retail sale of cannabis has not yet been approved. The board is who will put out the proposed regulations and give the public some time, to opine on the process and actually share thoughts. So they're going to begin to reach out to the public. What we did mostly was provide a venue for operators for the majority. These were operators from marginalized communities, people of color, people often left out of the conversation because the state has a mandate for this kind of diversity. So under the current rules, adults can possess up to 3 ounces of cannabis and 24 grams of concentrated cannabis. It has to be stored securely, can't be used while you're driving, similar to alcohol. It's prohibited anywhere that smoking tobacco is prohibited. So if it's like, for example, NYCHA buildings, they're not allowed to smoke cigarettes in their apartments even, to my knowledge. So that would be the same for smoking marijuana, although they would be able to use edibles if they chose or something like that. Employers can also prohibit the use of marijuana because it may cause impairment depending upon what one's job is. You can't cross state lines with it because it's not legal federally yet. So it might not even be legal in the next state that you went to, although in our case, it is legal in Jersey. And they just recently opened up a huge, what do they call that? The places they have all over California, you go pick it up. Dispensary, yes, in Jersey City. It can't be grown at home until after 18 months of the first retail sale of adult use cannabis in New York State. So there's a while before, figure another 2 years before we can grow some on our terrace or whatever it is. And with regards to social and economic equity, the MRTA establishes a robust program to prioritize and provide resources to individuals from communities who've been disproportionately impacted by the policies of cannabis, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, minority and women-owned businesses. So figure especially Black women is basically what this is saying, trying to get licenses to them, distressed farmers, service, disabled veterans, military. And so extra priority is also going to be given to applications that demonstrate that an applicant has been somehow disproportionately impacted by the enforcement of cannabis. So if you did some jail time or whatever, or you have an income that's lower than 80% of the median income, or you have been convicted of a cannabis related offense prior to March 31st because of 2021. It would have to be prior because once it passed, as of March 31st, and it passed, if you're operating outside of the parameters of MRTA, then you're operating illegally. So that's why it has to be prior to March 31st. 40% of the taxation revenues that are garnered from this will go to community reinvestment, and that will be distributed to government agencies and nonprofits that serve communities that have been most devastated by the war on drugs. So it would start in, again, marginalized communities first. In addition, MRTA is going to automatically expunge the records of people with previous convictions for activities that are no longer criminalized. So if you did time for marijuana and we're no longer prosecuting that in New York, that will be cleaned from your record. OCM will be seeking community board input, similar to what we just did just now, what the SLA gets, from the Licensing and Permits Committee. And community boards are going to have an opportunity to chime in on applicants in light of potential licensee applications and to keep track of the number of facilities and have the ability to note who are, maybe the bad actors in the community and all that sort of thing, so just as we do with alcohol, or street permits, or, other things. And we'll be able to tell OCM that, we've been in contact with various applicants, over the period of time, and again, who's good, who's not. OCM will use that input in order to approve or deny licenses to members in our community. And there are potentially 9 licenses that OCM can grant, subject to local zoning laws. Each community board will have to create like some sort of intake form similar to our stipulation that we just used for our liquor licenses, that will capture, any necessary information that we need to conduct the review process. And these forms will have to be sent to OCM on a prescribed basis. There'll also be issues with regard to loans, use, lease, purchase, and establishments that are to be used as retail spaces. And I actually personally asked the question because we were taking questions from the audience. We had questions that were submitted in advance, and we went through as many as we could, again, primarily focusing on not so much on community board members or, or members of a given community, but on the would-be operators. But I did ask a question about biases, unconscious biases, as it relates to marginalized communities, people of color, the stigma, that some people may have surrounding marijuana, different feelings about it and stuff like that. And everybody thought that was going to be very important, crucial. The borough president did, Selena Rivera did. In fact, she went on to say that she would make sure that the, council provided some sort of support for community board members, that we get some sort of, like classes or, guidelines and things to follow, so that we are not taking out our own unconscious biases out on a would-be operator, rather than giving them the license. Because again, these could be people that are coming before us that may not look to us or sound to us like what we're used to in terms of somebody that's starting a business. But again, they may be somebody who was incarcerated or whatever. And in this case, that's fine, right? So this is important. The consensus is that this function should be housed under any social and racial justice committees that a given community board has, and led by Black and or Brown community board members with a connection to cannabis and or social justice work. So for our community board, it worked that I was doing it and that I was representing us, similar to Board 2, who had the other Mariama, or maybe I'm the other Mariama. But with that, I will let's see what she would like to add to this. Did I do okay, Mar?
You did wonderfully, and thank you again so much, other Mariama, for coming and lending your time and your insight and just being at Downtown Cannabis Forum. It was amazing, and it was great for me to be able to, reach out and talk to the people that I've been discussing cannabis with for months. Like Mariam will tell you, like I've been texting her, like, are you guys talking about cannabis yet? What are you doing? What are we doing? Do you know about this? And really trying to keep everybody up to date and involved. And then they went out and did their own research. So we had a really strong group of CB members that, represent marginalized communities, and who are involved in social justice work, because there's a very, very, very strong social and economic justice mandate written into the MRTA. First 150 licenses that will be granted are going exclusively to social equity applicants. And that means individuals who are, as Mariam was saying, justice involved. And yes, we do have to change some of our thinking on how we receive these individuals, right? Because all of a sudden something that we have typically been led to believe is a deficit is actually a requirement, right, in this. So we need to understand that. We need to understand technical stuff. What's the difference between, you know, a conviction and a charge? How do we weigh these? You know, in our community, what do they mean? That person also has to have some demonstrated business acumen. Have they run a business? Have they owned a business? Have they, if it's a dispensary, you know, it's a store. Have they worked in a store? Do they know how to do books? Have they been able to be successful doing that? If it's a consumption lounge, you know, do they have a background in nightlife? Do they have a good record with that background in nightlife? Because we're going to know. And as Mariama mentioned, you know, this is one of the things that we do as a community board. And Chair Wright did say, you know, I was on my community board. I chaired she was CB3 Brooklyn. And she said, you know, how are we going to know the bad actors? You guys know the bad actors already. You're in your community every day. You go out and you look. And if something opens in your neighborhood, you know, you go in and you say, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing that, you know? So if we're talking about all of these, you know, currently legal dispensaries that are popping up on every single corner in every part of the city, when they come to us with their hands out for a license, we can say, but you've been operating illegally for the last, you know, year without regulation. And that hasn't been great for us. So I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Don't think there'll be many because most of the committee is gone except for Pat and
Well,
Mitch.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about next.
You know what? I'm sorry. I guess what I'm curious about is, so landlords, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I would imagine that landlords are not going to be eager to rent, but I'm not sure. And do they have to maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You look the other Mariama, you look like maybe I'm wrong. So do landlords have to ask the renters for special requirements to open a dispensary in their building?
Okay, so we're not even really there yet because these first, as I said, 150 licenses are going to social equity applicants. And there is a $200 million fund plus another $4.8 million to support those applicants. And the OCM is providing built out prefab spaces that they're renting initially for these applicants, which means in many of these cases, they will not be able to choose where they go. But these locations are being chosen for high traffic because the OCM and the CCB and the state really, really, really wants these social equity businesses to succeed. So they're not, you know, being put in corners in neighborhoods where they're not going to, you know, get business. They're being put in very high traffic, tourist heavy neighborhoods. So we're not even there yet. We did get a call today, an email today. Actually, it was a call today at CB2, and an attorney was asking whether a similar question, like, is there some special thing? Like, is there a zone? Is there a cannabis zone? Right? Like, these stores, are they, you know, going to have a special zone? And I was like, cannabis stores are, you know, dispensaries are regular retail businesses. There's a special zone. They're regular stores, retail establishments like any of the other ones we have. That said, when we start talking about consumption lounges, places where people might be smoking, there are going to have to be, and there's lots of conversations about it, but some sort of like HVAC, air quality, you know, windows, doors, no outdoor space. That's all being discussed and will be ironed out before. As far as landlords, I found that landlords seem to be very eager. You know, several people have secured spaces well ahead of license rollout, and they're just sitting on them. And the landlords can't wait, as far as I can tell, because
So
it's
I'm
money.
wrong. I'm wrong. The other question though is, so you know how now if you overserve someone alcohol, Are there going to be some sort of, you may not know this yet, some sort of regulations that about over serving, if that's possible?
So there actually is they're developing actual science of how to measure and identify levels of impairment. And that's also written into the MRTA. They will also be training the police, the people in the stores, the same way they train bartenders. You know, you have to be certified on how to identify and how to handle these situations. So that is all happening, and it's built in addition to enforcement for people who violate, like people who drive impaired driving. You know, being high when you're driving is impairment, and it's against the law.
Thanks, Mar.
Sure.
Any questions?
How are they going to enforce all this? That's going to be the big issue, enforcement.
Well, it looks like, you know, now we walk through Washington Square Park and it looks like there's absolutely no enforcement, right? Because there isn't. That was really more left over from de Blasio, who did direct the police absolutely not to enforce. And Tremaine Wright did, you know, reiterate, like, we don't want all on the illegal dispensaries that are open now that are currently selling. She was like, we don't want to send a bunch of police in there. We're not going to send, you know, a team into these places because that goes against the spirit of the MRTA. That goes against the spirit of decriminalizing marijuana and cannabis products. So what they are doing is they have put taxation on them.
Mm.
And that is who is going in and saying, you're breaking the law. And for people who wanted legal business, that's going to be a huge burden when licenses start rolling out. And it's one way to do it.
You know, Mark, can I say something? I mean, in principle, I agree with everything, but then in practice, I mean, my children are grown up now, but I mean, I see all around, whether it's Washington Square Park or on Grand and you know, like on the outside of Chinatown. And, you know, if I want to go take my 2, 3, and 4-year-old daughters on the swings and stuff like that, I don't care about, like, marijuana is much safer than cigarettes. But, you know, I don't want to take them when, like, there's lots of people just smoking all over and the smell and everything like that. It becomes like it's you know, I don't want to see them going to jail either, but it's not like that taxation thing that doesn't solve that problem on the ground of you know,
On the
having like
street
a
enforcement.
family type of a park to take your kids on the seesaw, you know?
Well, you know, yes, people are smoking all over the city in the streets. And the fact is, it is legal to smoke cannabis products wherever you can smoke cigarettes. In my opinion, you shouldn't be able to smoke any of it publicly, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, common courtesy is like in, you know, is like, you know, you see families like on the swings and stuff like that. And, you know, you want to just, you know, kind of move to like a few feet away, but that's almost a lost art, you know? And, you know, like I said, my kids are all grown up now, but, you know, I'm just, I saw that like in the 80s when they were like young kids, you know, and there was other things a lot worse than marijuana, you know? So the taxation thing is one thing, but it really, you know, maybe it's
Street
not even
enforcement is more of your priority as far as you're concerned.
And I agree with you. That's the thing. When these licenses roll out, all of the things that we're seeing that are operating within this gray area, all of a sudden, it's fully illegal. It's no longer gray. The gray area goes away. And now we can say, that's just not okay. It's not okay anymore.
Right. But, you know, it's those places, and I apologize if I interrupted. It's a bad habit I have. But like we had like something earlier, like when Mark was talking about like that the City Winery, when the car is pulling up on the West Side Highway to drop off the person, it's not the venue. It's they're not responsible. They have nothing. They can't do anything. So like everything might be legal, but once the person buys everything legal and pays 100% tax, whatever, then it's the place has no control over the 20 or 30 young people in the park smoking when I want to take my grandson on the seesaw.
But
I
that's
think
the
it's
thing
going to
about
take
the
a little while for
consumption lounges.
transition, but the beauty of it is that New York State doesn't have to reinvent this wheel. There are a number of states where marijuana is already legal, has been for several years, and they're functioning. It's not like the state became dysfunctional. So
I'm not against it, Mariana. I'm just saying I see things not being as cut and dry as
No, they're not. Nothing's cut and dry, and all of these rules and regulations are still evolving, right? We're learning as we go in a lot of ways, and we're learning from the mistakes of many other states. But I will say, in response to the groups of people smoking on the corner, when these licenses roll out, all of a sudden they will have safe, comfortable places where they can actually go and smoke in a social setting with their peers. They're no longer pushed into the parks and public areas. They now have their own places to go. So that is going to alleviate a lot of that.
Weed smokers prefer to be in a cipher.
I'm sorry?
They prefer to be in what they call a cipher, which is a group of other weed smokers sharing and passing the joint to blunt or whatever it is they're smoking pipe to each other. They don't like to be standing on a corner. That's the preference of
I'm not even talking about a corner. I'm just saying something like the parks that
even the park. Even the park. The preference of a marijuana smoker is to be in a social setting with other marijuana smokers sharing marijuana.
So they'll have actual consumption lounges where they'll go, which will be like little,
like in
clubs.
Amsterdam.
Like in Amsterdam.
Like in Amsterdam.
And those places are just for them. If you don't want to smoke, don't go to those places.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not against this. I personally, I just hate all types of smoke, from pipes to cigars to, to just the smell of smoke.
I'm also a parent. And I'll tell you, every day, I don't know who this was. I would walk across 11th Street to take my kid to school when she was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Every morning at 8 a.m., there was some, bro dude sitting on his steps before he goes off to his job at, JP Morgan Chase, toking it up. And I'm like, and all the kids would walk down that street. I'm like, why are you out here doing this every morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's not illegal. It's just immoral you want to respect your elders and you respect the kids,
Exactly. I'm with you 100%, Mitchell.
Yeah. But the good thing is it will create a lot of jobs and new functions, like these social lounges, like, the retail store. So many businesses can be created out of this one new law.
Oh yeah. Cool. There are many businesses, and there are also ancillary businesses, and there are lots of, job opportunities and educational opportunities. And I mean, it really is limitless what we can do with this. And it really can benefit our neighborhoods, even above and beyond, the tax revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I hope it really does is, in places where it's not legal, I hope it at least pushes the rest of the country on the medical marijuana side for people, I hope that should be 100%, regardless of what side of the fence you're on. So I'm hoping that at least pushes the medical marijuana on other, on the red states,
Mm-hmm.
We hope, I mean, that's the whole point, to normalize it. But I do want to talk about next steps. So we've already begun work on our questionnaire, which I'll be workshopping with my committee this month. And I will share with all the other boards so you guys can get started. But, we all have, each community has different and unique concerns and issues and logistical concerns. So I will do a template and you guys can customize however you like. And it's 30 days notice, similar to SLA. We put them on our calendar and they appear at a hearing before us. On my board, those licenses are going through the committee I chair, which is the Equity, Race, and Justice Committee, until we need a full committee for this specifically. And as Mariama said, it's because this work must be led by the people it's meant to benefit and by the people who were most disparately harmed by the war on drugs and the criminalization of marijuana.
Yeah,
And
so
it's
similarly, we'll be bringing it to quality of life, which Pat is the chair and I'm the co-chair.
wonderful. Perfect. So we really have to keep that up because y'all know why.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately,
and
we do.
anybody reach out to me if you have any questions going forward or anything.
Okay, I don't see any hands, right?
But no,
I know. Good night.
no, it's late. It's 9:15. So
Yeah.